sorry to have been so secretive and so coy about where the vPub location is this evening. It's going to be no surprise that a lot of you have already worked out where we're broadcasting from tonight. Well done for those of you that guessed correctly. I can tell you that this beautifully misty, is quite misty right now, although the rest of it has been beautifully sunny. It's only misty at the seaside here. I can tell you that we are, well, what I'll suggest is that this is the Irish Sea. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you all in a second. Hello, whiskey folk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the vPub.
And welcome, Roy, for the first time. Big smiley face there. Yes. Welcome to the Bothy. Now, there's something you need to know, malt mate. This place doesn't actually exist.
Yes.
It's suspended through a stargate in a reality which is neither here nor there, but just happens to be malt infused, a little bit rustic, and a little bit sort of dysfunctional. However, there's one thing that functions very effectively in the Bothy, and that is drams.
Whiskey.
Whiskey. Hey. So cheers. Thank you very much. Now, we've got a little bit pour of a bottle that you gave me, actually. Glasgow 1770, bourbon cask matured, unpeated 8-year-old. Really enjoyed it. Unchill filtered, natural colour. I've got a wee stash of bottles actually up here in the on the
You're tearing through that one. You're tearing through it.
Well, yes, and because you're in the Bothy, not too many spoilers, but you're going to get some banger whiskey experiences, some of which you're aware of, and some of which you know nothing about, and you're either going to be ecstatically happy or slightly confused by. Are you prepared for this journey?
After travelling through the Stargate to get here, which was an interesting thing in itself.
Yes.
All those dimensions, my vision of how we exist has been completely altered in the last 24 hours. I'm ready for anything, fella. Ready for anything. Welcome to everybody that is here joining us. Once more, I apologise for the fact I've been so secretive, but I think I like to do that now. And you guys seem to like to enjoy guessing where the next on location vPub is going to be from. We've come to you live from a still room, from a warehouse, from a tasting room, visitor centre. We've even come live to you from inside a mash tun. So why not about time that we come live to you from the world famous Bothy? If people say in whiskey Bothy, this is the place that they're talking about.
Right, so, but a word of advice, keep it to yourself.
Aye.
Tell nobody.
Well,
people know it sort of doesn't sort of exist in the firmament, somewhere in the mists of the Irish Sea.
That's right.
But you're going to have to keep your mouth shut.
Absolutely. And you saw there was literal mists coming in from the Irish Sea earlier today. Yeah.
Very, very characteristic, because the Atlantic Gulf Stream, the Atlantic Ocean Gulf Stream, passes right up into the English Channel and then up through the Irish Sea. So in fact, what you have is warmer water plus cooler air, and it creates these sort of sea fogs. Have you ever seen that John Carpenter film, The Fog?
No, it was a wee bit like that because we were in beautiful bright sunshine, clear blue skies, and we came down to the shoreline and suddenly what do you call it?
It's Manannan's cloak.
Manannan's
is the folk term, because Manannan is the Celtic god of the island. Manannan MacLear, or son of Lear, Lear the god of eternity. The island is a most peculiar place, which is probably one reason tend to kind of get on quite well around here. Although there are a few small distilleries in the island, I just kind of leave them be. They're doing their own thing. They're happy in the space, and they're producing really, really interesting stuff, all of them. But I'm able to keep a lovely distance from it all here.
Because they don't know where that Stargate is.
They don't know where the Stargate is. And there are many Stargates.
Fantastic. Listen, buddy, it's a pleasure to be here. I know you've invited me here because we're having a fallow year from the Online Scotch Whisky Awards this year.
Yeah, we are.
But you and I still get together at regular intervals and chat about all things whisky related, YouTube channel related, life related, all of these things. And it's been good to discover that despite the fact we do completely different things online, still in whiskey, of course, but we are aligned on a lot of whiskey opinions and direction and things like that. So to have the ability to come here at your invitation, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And try and share a wee bit of that with everyone on the last vPub before I disappear for the next few weeks. Hopefully the Stargate will work and get me back, and I'll look forward to a summer break. But it'd be nice to kind of just hang out. There's no script or anything tonight, as you know. There's no topic, no theme. We're just going to put the world to right over a few drams.
Yeah, we're completely winging it, but we know it works because we've done it before, and we know you enjoy it because you're wondering which direction the conversation's going to turn to. And let's start with where you and I are at with the whiskey situation.
Well, we welcome in I always welcome in some of the beautiful whiskey folk and dedicated Bathlights first. There's no point in joining live if we don't get a chance to welcome some of them in.
I'm terrible at that with
We're doing tech light this time. I've literally travelled with some wireless mics and a laptop. So we're having to lean forward to try and read the chat because we're both got our distance lenses on, I suppose. And
yes.
Anyway, we'll do our very, very best. It's wonderful to have you all here. Gerben from the Netherlands is in, and this is despite the fact that we are very aware that we're clashing right now with France, Morocco in the World Cup.
We are.
It is what it is. If you're picking this up on the replay after watching the football, absolutely no problem at all, Ralphie, and I fully expect that. We hope you enjoyed the football, and we're grateful that you're joining us here on the replay. However, if you're joining us live right now, thank you. You're welcome. Very welcome to hang out with us. Gerben is saying that's a great surprise. Thank you, Gerben. I hope you're well. Jean Kelly is saying Aquavita and Ralphie, the dynamic duo. Oh, I wouldn't go that far, Jean. You'll see how dynamic we'll be throughout tonight. Danny Ebbington is saying, no way, I've got that poured already, Aquavita. What's the chances? So you've got the Glasgow in the glass. You're on theme and you didn't even intend it. Brilliant stuff, buddy. Good to have you. And Andy's here, Andy Dorr. Hi, Ralphie, Roy, and the Barflies. Always nice to welcome you, buddy. Hope you're keeping well. Julian Rickman is in, evening, Roy Aquaviti and the Barflies. And the legend that is Ralphie. Quite a few of the folk dared to stab a guess that I'd be in the Bothy. I didn't give anything away. I was really, really trying hard to keep tight-lipped. So well done for those of you who were able to guess. Hi, Roy and Ralphie from Paris. I guess it's easier in capitals, right? Good idea, this. The shouting is easier for us to read tonight, Greg. Good to have you in, buddy. Do you see that jump there, Ralphie? That's what happens when I'm trying to. Paskin is saying, good evening, gents. First ever live session for me after literal years of watching the replay. Cheers from Denmark. Paskin, that's the first time I've been able to welcome you live, buddy. A new name to me, and it's wonderful to have you in. Nice to welcome you. Ginger Genius John is saying Aquavite, amazing, two legends together, fantastic. Always good to have you in, John. You're a bit of a legend yourself, my friend. And all grain underground, it looks like. Hello, whiskey folks.
It does look like.
Is that a name you recognise, All Grain Underground? New one to me. Wonderful to have you, buddy. Wonderful to have you in. Hello, whiskey folks, he's saying. And Jesper is saying, even Roy and Ralphie, a big thank you to you both for everything you do for the whiskey community and all the work you've put into the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Thank you, buddy. It's a pleasure, Jesper, and it's very, very nice to have you here as well tonight. Ian Williamson is saying, good evening to you both. What a special way to end the season, opening a Living Souls 27-year-old Imperial in your honour. What a peach of a dram, Ian, to be opening as well. Dorpass Whiskey is saying, so glad I poured Hazelburn 10 for this special event. Well, there's going to be more wee special things for us to pour. What do we have here, sir?
This is unique to the Bothy. You're in the Bothy. It's an opportunity, Roy, for you to sample whiskies which have never been on sale, but ironically, everybody can have a bottle. And it's a Solera bottle, also known as an infinity bottle. And this, just for a resume, I know that many of the malt mates know about this, and many malt mates actually have a bottle in development. And this one has been on the go since 2011. So we're talking 17 years?
15 years.
15 years, sorry. Yep. 15 years. And it started off as a blended Scotch whiskey, Ralphie's blend, made up from a wee kind of pre-scripted ingredient list of whiskies. But then, and I'll hold this forward, I basically just kept a note on the back of the bottle of every single whiskey I've added with an age statement and a date, and just kind of topped it up over the years. So that
the deal with a Solera being you're never going to let it run dry, right?
You never let it run dry. And it's basically taking the Solera system as used in the whiskey industry, as regularly used in the sherry industry.
Drink it, replace it.
Yes. And your bottle will morph, it will change direction, and everybody who does it ends up with something which is simply as single as a single bottle can be.
And when you're talking about everybody can have it.
Everybody can have it.
And I've taken to do this myself, as you very well know. There's a demi-john that sits over my shoulder that adds stuff to you regularly. But I've also got some infinity bottles on the go. And sometimes I have a theme for those, like a specific distillery. You'll maybe just mix a specific distillery together. I know that you are going to move on to that in a wee second. You've already mentioned it. And the ability to play with being a wee bit of a home blender, see what works, see what doesn't work. I mean, it's very, very rare for you to make an absolute backside of it, right?
It's very rare, but
you can always pull it back if you have gone a wee bit too far in one direction or the other.
And the great thing is when you do go too far and suddenly your whiskey goes out of alignment, out of kilter, and then you say, just leave it, let it settle down. Don't rush it, don't panic. We'll just blend it on, we'll blend it out. And you add something to it, maybe slightly peated, probably Kalila, because Kalila is so chameleon and works so well. And then suddenly you come back a few months later and the bottle's amazing.
Always giving it time to marry.
So important is the giving it time and not uncorking it and disturbing it too often. Now you'll notice here, I've taken this is a broad-necked squat whiskey bottle, but in fact, I'm using a champagne cork because the champagne cork is stronger than a whiskey cork structurally. So in fact, it endures going in and out.
It's just quite fortunate that it fits that quite snugly as
well.
It
fits it wonderfully snugly, and it really is snug, so that your evaporational losses through soft cork whiskey bottle stoppers isn't quite an anxiety.
This is quite rich and fruity. It's quite moody.
It is, and it's slightly ageless. Excuse me, I've got a tickly nose.
Go ahead. Right ahead. A wee dram that's coming from Jimmy here. Jimmy Jazz is saying, good to see you both together. Ralphie led me to Roy. Enjoy the break. Jim Morse. Jim, thank you very, very much. And thanks to Ralphie for bringing a superstar like Jim Morse to my side. There's our pal, Whiskey Novice Jim, and celebrating being a member of Bathlies for 76 months. You superstar, buddy. He's saying, the Isle of Man. Cheers, everyone. Am I any closer to you, Jim, right now? I probably am. Cheers, fella. Thank you for this treat. Cheers.
Oh, sure.
And thanks for bringing Mr. Morse to our side as well. Cheers, guys. Thank you for your drams. Thanks you for your support.
This is sort of old sherry peppery. It's quite oily too. I've gradually, as you get more confidence doing this, you might find yourself adding more medium or heavily peated whiskies, or say sherried whiskies, which are really good at giving signature and identity to a blend which is perhaps becoming over blended over time.
We've got a real mishmash in here. There's peated, there's unpeated. Some really special things in here. There's Rosebank 21, a Brora 30. Wow. Some Distillers Edition Lagavulin, some Glen Scotias, lots of Campbelltowns, actually, some Deanston in there. A Bowmore from the 1960s. Wow. Some fantastic stuff, Ralphie. Thank you very, very much. Just while Jim Whiskey Novice is in, I've not spoken to any of my peer creators about the potential of hosting some Thursday night slots over the course of the next 6 or 7 weeks. Jim, I need to reach out to you, buddy, and see if you're free or willing to cover any over the next 6 or 7 weeks. I'll also reach out to the other guys and things that I've supported in that exercise in the past. If you're following me through the Guardians or whatever, I'll put out as many announcements as I possibly can to let people know if that actually goes ahead and happens. Dave Barnes is celebrating being a supporter for 49 months. Dave, thank you very much for your support. Tom Freeney is 36 months celebrating being a barfly, keeping everything on the channel completely ad-free, getting access to all those channel-themed emojis and things as well. Enjoy the summer break, Roy, and cheers to all. Thank you, Tom Freeney, you superstar. To both of you, says Andy Dorr. Roy, enjoy the time off. Cheers. Well, we've got a couple of hours of chitty-chat before I get my time off this summer, Ralphie. I want to ask you a couple of things tonight.
Okay.
And it's been an interesting couple of years in whiskey. It's been an interesting couple of years in WhiskyTube, or YouTube, the YouTube that we incidentally used to go to the world, right? YouTube is I have seen remarkable changes over that time. And I would have to say that from my very selfish perspective, not speaking on behalf of the industry, because I don't, I'm a whiskey punter, we're whiskey punters, that's what we are, we're customers like everyone else. I think that it's my opinion that we're in a good place right now. It's generally positive for us, despite the fact that the industry is in a bit of a slump. But how do you feel the same way, or are you spooked by the fact that whiskey, the wider whiskey market is struggling a wee bit? If we were to start off with that, where do you think we are? And I just want to say thank you to Alex B, who's bought me a very, very generous dram. Unfortunately, I have to catch up and replay, but I had to pop in to buy you two legends a dram, Slancha, and thanks for all the Pat pals. Pat pals, I'm not used to saying.
All the Pat, yeah, and barflies.
You superstar.
I'll bail you out, Roy. Don't worry.
That's very generous of you, Alex.
Right.
Thank you, my friend. Cheers to you.
Your question. To properly address the question, we have a historical frame of reference. The past explains the present and prepares us for the future. What we saw from the beginning of the millennium to year 2000 was a very slow, gradual, incremental increase in interest in whiskey, which then started to seed itself around the resurgence of Bruichladdich, Ardbeg, and the awakening of Springbank as being
an independent, looking after its own future. Yeah.
An independent distillery, but people actually understanding what its real assets are in its sticking to tradition, a direct fired wash still, worm tub cooling, an eccentric way of operating, and a very successful, understated, completely naturalistic way of presenting themselves to the outside world. So this is gradually building up, and then we see the arrival of the alternative auction, whiskey auction industry. In terms of the online auction, the traditional auctions missed the boat. They didn't go with technology. They started to use technology while retaining their original status. You saw McTears in Glasgow was a prominent, internationally recognized source for really obscure, unusual bottlings. I remember, Roy, being in a McTears auction and a Glengoyne appeared. It was one of the first commercial Glengoynes bottled after the war. And the label was literally had turned from white to almost sepia, because it had stood in a bar in the west of Glasgow, not far from the distillery, on the top shelf, and it was an ornament on the bar. Nobody wanted it. The bottle was never opened. And when the bar shut down, or the barman or the bar manager said, hang about, wait a minute, people are buying these old whiskies. So he brought the bottle down, brought it into auction. Nobody there had a clue what it was being worth. But when the auction finished, that bottle went for over £2,000. There was a gasp of shock from the room, because everybody...
What year are you talking about here? Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
So what we're talking about, I think, is the rise of single malt. The rise of appreciation for single malt, the understanding of what malt whiskey was. A lot of that came from the continent, as we know. Not much of it came domestically. We have to rely on a lot of other countries for discovering how amazing single malt was first. I think that's what's happened. But I mean, you and I have witnessed the rise of, at one point in time, it was almost as if it was never going to end, this continued rise. But that's now, I want your take on it.
Yes and no, Roy. Yes and no. A number of years ago, I could see what's called the bifurcation, which is a biology term, when a single vessel splits into two or more. And you could see the whiskey industry was, you've got the big companies, brand-led, heavy chill filtration, low-strength bottlings, 43%, caramel, liberal use of caramel colorant, the very highly predictable use of, in my opinion, unimaginative marketing, messaging, and branding. And you could see that going one way. You saw these brands actively disconnecting from the small independent whiskey shops. And there wasn't that many. You had Robbie's Drams in Ayr.
Down in Ayr, that's right.
It's one of the early whiskey shops. You had Inverary Dram whiskey.
Inverary whiskey, yeah.
Inverary whiskey up at Inverary.
Yep.
And
Robert Graham in Glasgow.
Although I've never bought anything from them. I just didn't like their way of, everything was, if you looked the part, if you looked like a well-heeled whiskey aficionado, they would give you the time of day. But if you look like me, like a workman that's just out from, digging the road, no chance. But it's real life. It's just real life. I found it quite entertaining. But
where do you find it? Where do you find it today? Where are we right now? Because I have to say, the chats that you and I have had over the last 24 hours, we're quite, I wouldn't say we're ecstatic, but we're quite jolly. We're pragmatic. We're content. Content's probably the good word. Because we appreciate that the changes that we've seen in whiskey, right? The proliferation of brands, the proliferation of new distilleries, the proliferation of core ranges, to the point that a brand doesn't have just a 12-year-old anymore. They have a strong core range, and they have lots of special releases, to the point that probably the amount of whiskey choice that's out there just now, we're seeing it being pared back, because there's just so much confusing, intimidating maybe choice. But we find ourselves, you and I, remarkably content, and I would like to try and pinpoint and understand why that is. Why are we happy? Sorry, Rick Johnson from San Francisco's bought me a dram. Thanks very much. He's saying that's worth a $5 just to hear Ralphie saying Brookladdy. And Jimmy Legg is in. Good to see you, big guy. How are you keeping? Without Ralphie, I would never have found out why I loved whiskey so much. It was all the flavours. Thanks, Ralphie. You're not too bad either, Roy. Thank you, Jimmy Legg.
Yeah, there you go.
Very, very
nice. Make the most of that, by the way.
Yes, I absolutely will. Thank you, Jimmy. Cheers, Rick.
So coming back to that, you and I, Roy, are spoiled for choice because we're in the British Isles. If we were in Australia, not so lucky.
There's truth there, yes.
And if in parts of Canada...
That's always been the case for 20 years.
But the frustration for malt mates globally who have global access to the internet, who tune into our conversations and content, and then they go to the local store and they ask for, do you have any independent bottlers? And the range is rather limited. Fortunately, just to give you an update on this, the independent bottlers, because it's such a competitive market now, some independent bottlers are focusing primarily on exports to other countries, which is a great thing, because where we are at now is a direct result of the disruption in 2020. Pandemic lockdown, a global event, really suddenly shocked the predictability, reliability, and the flow of narrative in the whiskey market. The industry was stunned. They were simply not prepared. Hotels shut, bars shut, supermarkets were the only place that you could buy whiskey unless you got the specialist retailer who would deliver. So small retailers were getting hold and hiring vans to literally deliver to doorsteps.
That's right. That's right.
And so the adaptation was quick, but at this time, people were thinking more because they're at home. The surge in eBay converted garden sheds into flip-top bars was very quick. People were buying these sheds.
Finding out how to feel content at home.
At home, yes.
Yeah. And we're not traveling, we're not spending money, we're not going on holidays. There's money suddenly. What do we spend the money on? Well, suddenly people start to find, now we're getting to it, people start to find that whiskey hobby. And what happens? We over accumulate.
Well,
all of us.
Yes and no. Some folk are a lot more disciplined. It's more difficult for you and I, Roy, because our supporters, our Patreon supporters and barflies and malt mates provide us a little bit of money either through YouTube advertising or subscribing or gifting. So you and I are in a very, very fortunate position that we have this budget where we then look around and say, right, I've got to give and maintain an authentic narrative here. In other words, buying a bottle of Johnnie Walker Black Label as an illustrative example, because you know you're going to get lots of views on that video, but those views no longer translate into advertising revenue in YouTube, because YouTube's changed dramatically due to AI creations and changes in their algorithm. So this pandemic lockdown, suddenly everything changes. People pause for breath, recalibrate, and then you have a new phenomenon. Some decide they're going to go to auction to buy. Some decide they're going to buy cases as investments and store it in their garage. Other people, this is where Macallan were really bigging things up, and you had the cask investment companies started appearing slightly post-pandemic lockdown.
Parasitic.
Well, I mean, that's controversial stuff, and
no, it's been proven to be the case, and we can. Not all cask investment companies are bad actors.
Not all of them. In fact, there's some good actors, Roy.
Yeah.
But the space was there for seriously bad actors, and I think that the Scotch whisky industry has appeared to be slow in reacting to confront that situation, to reassure everybody, right? But what changed was some folks say, right, I'm stuck at home, I mustn't drink too much, let's buy something different. Let's buy something I wouldn't normally buy. Let's buy a bourbon cask matured. Here you've got this Glasgow, we've got some independent bottlings, and I think independent bottlers were really getting noticed and taken seriously. And one important reason for this is people's sense of smell and taste, no matter what your experience, is a phenomenally accurate measuring system. And once you've had non-chill filtered whiskey, you really taste the impact and the downscaling of the experience of something which has been commercially chill filtered.
Once you get a taste for natural whiskey with everything left intact, the mouthfeel being there, it's tough to go back to the neutered stuff. It's tough to go back to the soft stuff.
Because
absolutely,
it's not delivering.
You guys were and remain the blueprint, says Whiskey Novice Jim. Thank you, buddy. Saying my wee channel was built on. Thank you. Just a huge shout out to Whiskey Novice. I see Alan, the Whiskey Friend, is in as well. No doubt there are others. The Whiskey Zone, Rick Johnson, other YouTube creators in hanging out with us tonight. It's brilliant to have our friends here as well out there from WhiskeyTube. We will be talking, hopefully, a wee bit about WhiskeyTube a wee bit later, the state of play for us, our opinion on the state of WhiskeyTube and things like that. My friend Aaron in San Francisco, two of my absolute favourites. What a treat. Thank you very much. That's a very, very generous dram, Aaron. Very generous from you, Jim, as well. Fantastic. But I mean, it's when I talk to Ralphie and when I interview Ralphie, it's a wee bit like chatting to a politician, right? He's building up these.
It's not that bad.
We've got, but if we know, and we're very, very fortunate to have so many knowledgeable whiskey folk that's in, and it's great to have the new folk in that have come in recently as well. But what we see is that there's so many people that have maybe come into whiskey in the last couple of years, say, and they've not really got a handle on just how much it's changed. You know, if you went into the Good Spirits Company 10 years ago, you would have had a good range in a specialist spirits retailer such as Good Spirits Company, right? But you go in today, it's hard to keep up. Because not only have you got a Glengarry, you've got a Glengarry from Little Brown Dog. You've got a Glengarry from Signature Vintage. You've got a Glengarry from, you know, there's just this massive expansion and choice today. And it coincides with, and I don't think it's coincidental, it coincides with a huge downturn in global demand. And we see it on YouTube, and we're going to talk about this, a downturn in the core whiskey community is still there. The enthusiasts, the rock solid core. It's a bit like going back to 2017 or 2018, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the concentric circles of additional interest that came from perhaps buying to invest, want to drink, want to invest, buying purely to invest, or to collect, or that type of thing. I think that has ebbed a little. That's fallen back a little.
There's certainly people got what's called fairly generous stashes. A dozen bottles can very quickly become 2 dozen bottles when you're buying because you enjoy buying and you decide, I've got 5, 6, 7, 8 bottles already open. I'm not going to rush to open this. I know I'm going to enjoy it, but I'll just keep it for later because prices will inevitably, because of global inflation, they're going to go up. They have to go up because the cost of energy, the cost of business, we're in that stage of the curve, the economic cycle.
Are you seeing the same thing as I am in prices? We know that for the reasons that you've just said, there are huge challenges out there, but I've just picked up a mature Glenelgan, 19 years old, for 80 quid. Mm-hmm. I've just picked up a 16-year-old Craig Ellichy, mm-hmm. £45, Signature Vintage. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are, when I say it's like going back to 2017, it's going back to 2017 on prices as well. Mm-hmm. Well, not from everywhere. And it's got everything to do with how much that cask cost to source or to fill or to make or mature. And not everyone's going to have the ability to get a hold of stock to put out those kind of deals. But I never imagined, in the peak of it all, when it was at its peak crazy, late 2022, I would say, into 2023, I never imagined it would reach a time again where we would be able to get these precious whiskies at affordable prices again. Look who's in. Christopher Malloy is here. Feels like you've been around forever, Chris. It's great to have you in, buddy. He's bought us a wee dram to say a very pleasant surprise. It's always a pleasure and a pleasant surprise to welcome you in, Chris, as well.
Thanks, Chris, for all your consistent comments and support on the Patreon, in the Bothy Patreon channel.
I think that we are seeing I've been saying it for a wee while that whiskey's coming back to us. And as time goes on, we're seeing more and more things reassuring me that whiskey's coming back to us, but it's coming back to us to tempt us back. It's coming back to us, but it's not, the YouTube traffic is down. The interaction is down. There is because we're not in lockdown anymore, and it's gradually, however, the people who support us, the community, the events that we do for the community, our lock-ins, our private Patreon-only Bothy things, they're as busy as ever.
Absolutely, and the tickets are flying out the door very fast.
For the geeky festivals.
Yes. The geeky festivals, which are just, it's now actually being considered more important to go to a whiskey festival than going to actually visit a distillery. Because at the whiskey festival, there's such an opportunity for the tasting and sampling in close succession of such a variety of whiskies, at which point we rapidly accelerate getting our bearings and finding out what at this moment in time really suits our palate. And we're in the post-pandemic phase now. We're in the pre-global economic meltdown phase. There's a global recession coming.
I also love that Ralphie's always here with his glass half full. Sorry, glass half empty.
Glass half empty
and
beside the glass.
I always turn up with my glass half empty as well. But even in our conversations, when we're not broadcasting, this is true. I would say that often you've got more of a canny, pessimism never leads to disappointment type outlook, whereas I'm always trying to find the positive. I'm always trying to see the sunny side of things, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas you're always, I think, a bit more contemplative.
I'm more restrained, Roy. I'm more grumpy. Absolutely. I think at times you need to be, because it imposes, being grumpy about your whiskey starts to impose self-discipline on you. And you see this, for example, it's notoriously happens to people going onto online Scotch whisky auctions sites. There's a number of online whisky auctions, and you're monitoring a bottle. It's a great price a few days before the end of the bidding, but then all this cascade of bids come in within the last hour, and suddenly you're standing there and your fingers on the button on your phone, on the laptop, and you say, I really want that. I really want that bottle. That's an early version. That's an old version of Lagavulin. I want to taste the antiquity. I want to taste that old style. Press. And then on top of it, and a number of auctions have just increased their commission costs to buyers from 12 or around 12% to 15%. And then on top of that, and I'm sure you've noticed it, Maltmates, the cost of couriering and postage of bottles around the world is simply at times outrageous. And the reason that is because there's a strategic bureaucratic cartel at play trying to restrain cross-border businesses from selling bottles of whiskey
let's not even start to talk about tariffs and all of those things that make it very, very difficult for people to do business over borders and things like that. Absolutely. I mean, it's tough. I'm gonna ask these guys to do something for me. Those of you that are barflies and have access to all the channel themed emoji and things like that, can you please show Ralphie his emoji? Can you fill the Aquavitae barfly chat with his wee emoji for me, please?
Oh, this is awkward.
There's a very good reason for it, because I come bearing a small gift or two, Ralphie.
Oh no!
Here it is coming. Ian Bruce, thank you very, very much.
Oh my God! Is that a steampunker?
Gary
I'm going to reproduce it. I look like some character out The Simpsons.
It's tough to see there because it's so wee, but that's exactly. Look at that. Look at this.
I need a bottle to hold. Yeah. Let's get the bankroll burn. You're going to taste that later. You're the only other person.
I think I'm ready to taste it right about now.
Oh, for goodness sake! There's a rush. I'm going to reproduce this emoji.
You're walking along with a... Well, I appreciate that it's difficult to see. So a bit of a last-minute gift.
I'm pouring you some bankroll burn.
I'm going to offer you this wee gift.
Oh, for goodness sake. I don't accept gifts.
Ralphie never accepts gifts.
Don't accept gifts.
Then one day he turned up in the Bonaccord, and in his wee bag...
Bankroll burn.
Bankroll burn, we can guess what region of the world that bankroll burn
Look at the stir. Look at the stir. Oh, my goodness. It looks like someone's washed their dishes in this.
Flocculation in that. And I turned up at the Bonaccord, and in a wee bag, Ralphie hands me a bottle. I said, "What's this, Ralphie?" He says, "Right, it's a gift for you." And I said, "No, Ralphie, I'm
not that generous.
I don't accept gifts. I don't accept gifts." And he said, "What do you mean you don't?" I said, "That's the rule. That's what we have between us." He said, "Don't be silly. You take that." So the next time we met up, I had a gift for him in a wee bag. So we've kind of broken that thing now. So this is a wee gift on behalf of all the barflies from me to you. I hope that this, I'll help you open it a wee bit. So there you go.
Right, has it got a fuse in it? It's a picture of something.
Nothing should ignite.
Oh, it's going to picture. I've got it the wrong way around. I'm going to show the malt mates before I even see it.
Yes, that's fine.
Right, so. And I presume the barcode is at the bottom of the picture, and
this is the top. Yeah,
that's the top. So there we are, folks. You're seeing it. I've not even seen this picture yet.
And Ralphie can't see it because our monitor feed is not on screen just now. It's the chat that's on screen right now.
There we go.
So you can see it. So will I reveal now?
No.
I'm not going to turn this around. Watch. You can see this. Watch.
Oh, see it in the screen.
Oh.
Getting glare. Look at the glare. Oh my goodness.
There we go.
Oh my goodness.
So we've got do with it as you will. It can lie on the floor. It can hang in your toilet. Whatever it is you fancy. But this is.
You've made me look like a mini figs out of Legoland.
No. It's just a yellow plastic figure. Nothing to do with the L brand. Nothing at all. Now I want a huge razor glass and a shout out.
Wait a minute, I've not even seen the picture yet.
Sorry, to superstar Gregor McQueen's artwork.
Oh, thank you, Gregor. Is this your artwork?
And
that is definitely The Simpsons.
Yes.
I'll credit the.
And do you notice the jacket? Because he changes the jacket, the Ralphie jacket. Bless you, sir. Bless you. He changes the Ralphie jacket and updates it every year. And it's now in its third iteration, that wee emoji. It was a red jacket was on there. And
it's the kind of grey and cobalt.
Yeah, this year's edition of 2026 edition.
Yeah.
I'll need to send you a picture for the jacket next year as well. So Gregor, thank you, buddy. Thank you for the artwork and the...
Thanks,
really
Gregor.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to have to put this in the Bothy here. But at the same time, it's a lovely frame. That's a quality frame. That's not quite... real crocodile skin.
Well, I was trying to figure out what kind of vibe might fit in here.
That's fine. It's got that kind of classic
all the wooden frames were fresh, new, crisp, bright wood. And I was like, that's not the Bothy. That's not the Bothy, right?
Yes.
So.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to stick this somewhere where it won't get into trouble.
Put it anywhere just now so it doesn't...
Put it there at the moment. Like so. Thank you very much.
So this is the Hazelburn Springbank Longrow Ralphie blend. Is that what we have?
Where is that? Where's the bottle? I'll put the bottle. Here it is.
Bankroburn.
September 2011. I was absolutely loving the release that Springbank did of the Rundlets and Kilderkins range.
Yes, I remember that range. Yes.
With the embossed metal label.
That's right.
I loved it so much. I thought, hang about, people are going to latch onto this. I went out and promptly bought second bottles of each.
When you could do such a thing.
When you could do such a thing. The bottles I had opened, I thought, let's be cheeky, because if you combine Springbank, Longrow, and Hazelburn, what proportions would you do it in? So I thought, never mind that, just make it a third each. Fill a bottle, mark it as Bankroburn, Springbank, Longrow, Hazelburn, and just see what happens, because this, in fact, remains a single malt.
True.
So
it's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. A single malt, maybe 3 different brands, but it's from the same distillery, all produced at that distillery. I have to say,
I thought
there's a wee bit of peat smoke and peat mulch and Campbelltown funk in this bottle, but I think in that glass, that bottle, it would be, I would suspect, if you've put a third long row in there, the peat has softened over the years.
The peat has certainly softened, and bear in mind that the Springbank itself has got a slight peatiness. I thought that the long row would have dominated more, but in fact, Hazelburn, of all the 3, Hazelburn, in my opinion, is aging the best.
Wow.
Because see the older versions, the 15 and then the 21-year-old Hazelburn, the 21 in particular, I had it at I bought some at the Bon Accord, kind of expensive, but I thought, stuff it, I'm having a night out. And I took about half an hour over it. It was beautiful, because what you have is a lowland style of whiskey, but it has got a lot of substance to it. And
floor malted though.
And it's the floor malting combined with the on-site bottling using their own domestic distillery water supply, and the fact that Springbank does not actually have a chill filtration machine at all. They have a barrier filtration machine.
Like all places do, obviously we have to.
All places do, but there's some distilleries send their whiskey to be bottled at a bigger bottling plant. And the bigger bottling plant, to save bits in the bottle, to be on the safe side, they look at the request sheet for the bottling. It says, oh, non-chill filter. Okay, just switch the chill off and you can put it through 100.
It still goes through the same machine.
Still goes through the same machine.
Yeah.
And it's so worthwhile for any whiskey fan. If you ever have the opportunity, and don't tell them at the bottling plant while you're there growling at this machine, you need to see it stainless steel, the size of a small domestic hatchback. It's a big device, a chill filtration machine. And when they open up the front cover like a barbecue, it opens up and you can see this concertina of all these paper plates inside, which we recently discovered, Maltmates, actually contains particles of seashells as part of the filtration process.
I had no idea about that.
There you go. Tell you, see the Bothy.
Fair play to the...
Yeah, Bothy is a minefield of information, Roy.
But there are so many bottlers out there, bottling plants, small independent outfits, things like that. They don't invest in that type of equipment. They don't have that type of stuff. And it's no coincidence that tends to be the stuff that we end up talking about. Just popped in to say hello, says Christoph Meyer as he buys us a wee dram. Hello, hello Christoph, how are you doing? He's saying, what a nice secret location surprise. Cheers. Christoph, thank you very much. It's nice to have you in. Is this the Bankroll Burn?
No, I've lifted up the Solera bottle. This is Bankroll Burn.
Bankroll Burn. Cheers, fella. Thank you. Another wee Ralphie treat.
The nose is unmistakably, quintessentially that creamy, barley-rich, slightly funky. And
see, until we find a better word to describe that funk.
Yeah.
Is it mulchy? Is it farmy? Is it coastal? Is it all of those things?
It's a combination of many understated things all impacting at once, because along with the additional flavor from their style of production, you get a heightened sensation range. So the sensation components contributing to the flavor of sweet, sour, salt, savory, and bitter are actually heightened. And if you're Springbank fans who know the local barley range at all, you really see a perfect demonstration.
Yeah.
And local barley, by the way, you may as well call it organic Springbank.
And this is stripped back because for me, the purity of the local barleys, often, even when there's a wee bit of sherry cask maturation in the mix in there, they lean towards much more bourbon maturation styles, much more spirit forward.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're high ABV. They sing with a wee drop of water in them. that the texture, the mouthfeel. So you've got that local barley thing, those tiny little grains, really hard to handle, really hard for production.
There are a nightmare, actually.
Still floor malted at Springbank. So that goo, that Campbelltown goo is in there, you know, it's just, as in the French goo, I think, G-O-U-T, right, rather than gooey.
And to think, Roy, that in the 1990s, Springbank shut down through lack of demand.
Oh, absolutely. And they once upon a time sold their stocks through outlets such as supermarkets.
I remember buying Springbank 10-year-old on discount in Waitrose in the West End of Glasgow and Byres Road, and they had it on special offer. Put your seatbelts on, malt mates, because you're not going to like this. But this is why we're very much keeping the periscope up wherever we are. I was buying Springbank 10-year-old for £23 a bottle.
In a supermarket?
In a supermarket. I went in, I marched out. I had to buy a supermarket bag, the one you pay for, stronger, with 4 bottles. And then I went back the following day because they had another 3 bottles left.
And it's not... If that was a spirits retailer, you'd be shouted at now. And that'd be fair enough. But back in the day, supermarkets couldn't sell Springbank. The people in the supermarket aisle, the whiskey aisle in the supermarket, really probably didn't know what Springbank was. And I think that Springbank made a few resolutions back in the day when they struggled not to sell their whiskey to anyone else, to take care of their own destiny, not to try and sell through supermarkets. Forget about cask trading, right? Just all of those things. They pulled the drawbridge up and said, no, we know how to do this, and we're going to do it our own way. Now, I think it's taken them decades to get to where they want to be, but they're there now. And if you only need a room full of 24 malt mates, barflies, whiskey botherers, whatever, a couple of dozen is all it needs to put a vote of the best distillery for Springbank to float to the top. And 25 to 125 to 1,025 to 2,025, the vote will always bring Springbank to the top. And that's dull and boring for a lot of people, but I'm sorry, that's the product of that's the product of decades of effort that they've put in to following their doctrine. It's typical today, but it's the new distilleries, it's the small distilleries, the independent distilleries that are kind of following that blueprint. Maybe not quite as conservatively, because a lot of the new distilleries do trade casks, collaborations, selling of casks, that type of thing happens. At Springbank, it does not. But Springbank have proven that their methodology is robust. I would say to you, Jimmy Legg mentioned, and I think he's right there, he was talking about, he said, it's garage and faints, is according to Jimmy Legg. That's a good way to describe it. Dave Evans, good to see you, David. How are you keeping, fella? Celebrating being a member for 75 months, saying enjoy your break. And Andy and Helen is celebrating being a member for 9 months because they changed the name. I know you've been around a lot longer than that. Away to my bed, have a fab summer break, Roy. Don't work too hard, Andy. I worry about you out there grafting a wee bit too hard. But if you pick this up with your feet up over the weekend, thank you, big guy. It's nice to have you in, and thank you for supporting me. I've got a word to describe this.
Well, hang about, just before you go there, you in the same sentence said Springbank and dull and boring.
Well, yeah, dull and boring, as in because they're repetitively at the top of everybody's poll, favourite list, best distillery list, the Oswas. We know from the Oswas, every time Springbank gets a nomination, there's a good chance. I think maybe there's one time it was beaten out because it was the Campbelltown Lock or something, or maybe that's not even happened. It comes out on top every time.
So which distillery is going to topple Springbank?
In the short term, none. Longer term, I've got a short list.
Do you? Do you want to share it?
However, unless somebody gets to the point where they can do what Springbank is doing, it's not going to happen. What am I talking about? I think the single biggest and most difficult thing to put in place for any distillery, especially if they're a small independent, is a malting floor.
Malting floor, yeah. Now,
Springbank have a pool of resources that very few distilleries can draw upon. I think how remote Ardnamurchan is. Even Lochlee and the Lowlands still have good commute outside of a a population centre, right? It's still, so for them to get a team of maltmen, because you don't just turn the malt and then go home and 16 hours later come in and you've got to tend that malt, right? You've got to, it needs a constant rotation of a malt. So it's a very, very difficult thing to put in place, a malt floor. Other distilleries manage to do it. Balvenie does it, Benriach does it, Lefroy, Bamor, Kilchoman, but they've all got rotations of staff doing. And Springbank is the only one that's still 100%.
A lot of people who know about whiskey, they might not understand the reason for the rotation of malting barley. So I'll just briefly, just a few minutes to explain it to you, in that when the barley arrives at the distillery, it's rested. You very rarely hear about the resting stage. And it's allowed to just kind of sit dormant for a while in cool storage, but it's checked for any development of molds or mildews, anything like that. And then it is steeped. So it's put into immersed in water, and this is basically replicating rain showers, which is going to help the actual grains to germinate. And germination is where the starch locked up within the grain is transferred through the process of amylose and amylase. Amylase being, and think it is, the enzymic activity. The starch turns to soluble sugars. And the process is to encourage as much sugar production from the grain as it germinates. But as it's germinating, it's putting out roots. And if you don't keep moving the grain, one thing that happens is it overheats, it gets too hot, and it starts to go funky. And also the roots start to bind together, and the grain actually clogs into a cake. And this is the reason that it has to be regularly, not constantly, but regularly turned and raked and shoveled. And of course, the brand Monkey Shoulder from William Grant is a consistently accessible, affordable blended malt for cocktail makers. It is actually, the Monkey Shoulders referencing a repetitive strain injury of the overdevelopment of the muscles of one side of the body, depending whether the shoveler of the large wooden spade is left-handed or right-handed.
Aye. If you ever take a distillery tour at any of the places I just mentioned there, try and get the tour that you might get a chance to at least see the piece, as they call it, you know, the malt floor laid. And if you do get a chance, depending on what condition and how long the malt's been out there, you're going to have it. But you might be able to pick it up and you can see the thing starting to germinate, so you can see the roots. You can also put your hands in and feel the warmth in the piece as well.
Yes.
And sometimes you can even have a wee nibble and a wee taste and things like that as well. It's fascinating to see. But I think that it's one of the things that's, for understandable reasons of efficiency and centralization, resources, all of these things, that's fallen away from whiskey. If you pick up that, any book that's pre-war, any old historic whiskey book that was published a long time ago, or any material that was written a long time ago, you're going to see barley, 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 barley everywhere, because all the distilleries were handling and looking after their own barley. And I think that one of the reasons that we love to talk about density and that flavour and that funk in Springbank, I think so much of it is to do with the fact that they remain the only distillery that do the whole thing, including 100% of their full malting, except some of the Glengyle releases, which I think some of the heavily peated and things like that, they'll buy in order to get the capacity up, because it is a bottleneck.
I've got a pre-barfly quiz question for you, Roy.
Oh dear. That's okay to put me on the spot. Go for it.
Joe. Because we're talking about the old days of distilleries, and sometimes you visit a distillery, not necessarily a working distillery, but I visited a distillery up in Speyside a number of years ago, and for the first time I saw a yeast pan And the yeast pan was a stainless steel cauldron with what looked like a ship's screw propeller on a long pole going into it. And this was a distillery that actually cultivated their own unique strain of yeast for their whiskey. Do you know which distillery I'm talking about?
Are you sure it was Speyside? It was Speyside?
It's definitely Speyside. But I'm going to give you a
clue. It's obviously liquid yeast then, is it? Is it liquid?
It would be liquid. It was
brewer's yeast?
It was their own unique strain of yeast because
yes, you've said that.
Because they said that in the actual kind of, it is now at the moment a museum, but apparently it has bought in the condition that.
Okay, I know what distillery it is.
Now you know which distillery it is.
I'll let the barflies mention it's now owned by a CEO, right?
Yeah. And as such, I think they've got an idea to resurrect it.
Yes, absolutely.
Although maybe this isn't such a good time. But what time is a good time?
Thanks for bringing us this, Roy. Did you bring some of the blood tub, says Nora Pass Whiskey Tim, with Ralphie, to share with Ralphie? Looking forward to Ralphie's Glenelgan. Enjoy Spain, Roy. Ralphie's Glenelgan 15 is absolutely delicious. We might get a chance to try a wee sip of it tonight. Listen, I never brought any of the blood tub because it's a wee bit of close to Newcastle, right? You specifically told me, Roy, do not bring whiskey.
Do not bring whiskey. Because this Bothy is all whiskied out. Oh no!
I'm reaching in for something because we have more gifts.
More gifts.
But it's no whiskey. It's no whiskey.
Goodness!
Here we have a pair. Of and I know that.
I'm just thinking of it, Roy. I've got a gift for you. I've got a gift. This is unique to the Bothy. And it means whenever you...
That's not what's unique about Branston.
Branston, this is not just a tin of baked beans. This is an occult symbol of malt mercury in the Bothy. Oh, I've got him in this one, folks.
Yes.
All right, constant confusion has set in. We have confusion, embarrassment, awkward little moment here in the Bothy. I have to say, personally, I'm loving it.
I'm always embarrassed. At the amount of times that I've been embarrassed live on, it doesn't seem to matter to me anymore. But you were just about to offer me a tin of
baked beans.
Listen, there's no gift needed because of your amazing hospitality over the last days. So this is a matching set of...
It is,
there's no many of these left, but I'm going to restock them for everybody that's been asking. But I had a couple left that I could bring them over.
These are customised Aquavit Whiskey Evangelism MMV.
2005, yeah.
2005.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are, if you want to fingernail that, these are etched. These are etched.
And they've got different...
it's the wee roundel logo and the banner logo.
Thank you very much.
Different logos. But I know you said don't bring any whiskey, but I didn't realise that you'd purchased a bottle of this, sneaky boy.
No, I hadn't. You gave me it as a gift, Roy, in exchange
good.
for a bottle of the North Star Bothy.
I had no... Well, we didn't agree to an exchange. We've just been trading... tennis ball style. We've been trading gifts. That's all that's happened. So I tell you what, I brought this so that you don't need to open your bottle,
because I'd just like to keep that for as a stash,
a memento. So why don't we christen these with this?
Okay, I think you've set this up, Roy, but that's absolutely fine because I've actually tasted this blind. I tasted this blind.
This is a story. This is a story, a genuine story.
A genuine story. I tasted this blind, and Roy said, "Oh, what's your opinion?" I hate, being put in the spot, but I've just got to soldier on.
But it was after the Oswas. We were relaxing together.
Yeah.
You had no van or car. You had no commitment to drive anywhere. Just relaxing, having a dram, and this was sitting on the side. It was imminent. It was very hot topic at the time, and it was the pre-bottling sample. Of this.
A dense, creamy, grainy whiskey, which I thought was older than it actually is. And It is. I have tasted it.
Well, this is the bottled version now. So this is
squeaky cork. It's important. I'll give you a wee pour first, but just a wee pour. Are you leaving this bottle with me?
This is your bottle to drink.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, you're just getting a small portion because I want this to last. Don't think you're getting a great big hefty slug. Hang about. I've given myself too much. I'm going to give you a wee tip out of this.
Oh, I got a hefty slug in the end anyway.
Right. I shall keep this bottle. The thing about a natural, dense, high-strength whiskey is that it tends to keep better, far more successfully in the bottle over time. What's impressed me about this, in fairness, it's not a Scotch whiskey, so that will turn off the purists and the more conservative. And there are conservative whiskey fans, Roy, because the simple reason is it makes the whole game of chess easier.
If they narrow down their focus.
If they narrow down the focus and they continue to worship Springbank and they continue to buy any reasonably priced, competent Macallan, no matter what. Macallan is, it used to be something special in the 1990s. It's just another brand these days. That's all it is.
When we very, very rarely even mention it these days. Maybe that'll change. Maybe it'll come back to us. Jimmy Legg is saying, is that my bottle of Smogan Roy? All right, I guess it's okay if it's been shared with Ralphie. Don't you worry, sir. Right, yours is still sealed, and it's in very, very safe hands, Jimmy. Thank you very much for the dram.
Jimmy, this was your bottle. You've lost it. I'm sorry. We're moving on.
Have one for me, says PT Drammer Craig, for the summer break, Roy. Feel free to vat all the super chat contributions into one monster dram and call it a season finale. Slancha, thank you, PT Drammer Craig. A cool wee picture there in your icon as well. Craig and Jimmy Legg, thank you much. Thank you very much. And Ralphie, thanks to you too. Cheers.
You're welcome. This is one of these whiskies that I'm going to let it sit in the glass because on the nose it's very dense.
Oh, but
it's got that sort of it's highly biscuity. It's very biscuity.
It's going to play with you know what these whiskies do.
And there's also a mild, almost floral eau de cologne note.
It's effervescence, spritz type thing.
It's I mean it's a very, very voluminous whiskey. It's relatively young. When I first tasted it, I was putting it much older than it actually is. Having tasted it before, Roy, it's very impressive. And it's not Scotch.
I have to.
And I find that interesting.
I'll share a secret. It's not a secret. I'll share a story with you. After the Online Scotch Whisky Awards last year, you and I are sitting in the vPub, sitting in the pit. We were off hire, we were relaxing, and we were just, all it was left to do was switch things off, get you a taxi, that type of thing. And we started to pour a dram or two here and there and have a chitty chat. And that's when the idea of getting you to try this popped into my head, because our discussion took us to this. And I reached for the sample, and it was your reaction to this bottle. I mean, you were very, very effusive about this, and your reaction that gave me the confidence to say, go, let's go.
There's a wonderfully integrated fresh fruit perfume note, which is unusual and you don't get in whiskey very often. The fruit, I would say kiwi fruit.
Kiwi's a perfect shout. For me, it's these yellow and green fruits. There's a fresh pineapple here. Kiwi's a perfect call, I think. I'm
not getting pineapple so much, but if it was one of these
white fruit, then kiwi's green, of course. But this sometimes happens. It's just YouTube has a hissy fit. Let's see if we can bring it back.
And there's a lovely, refreshing, aromatic sawdust note.
Interesting. So you're getting a lot of malt notes. So what we're talking about, every note that you've picked out, I would say is spirit-driven. Would you say?
I'd say it's spirit-driven, but I'd also say that these are particularly good oak casks. The oak wood is really quite aromatic. It reminds me of Slavonian oak. some of the oaks that they use for maturing grappas.
This was American oak, but it was coopered by Swedish coopers in Sweden, and they're rock solid, they're super tight. So we picked 3 casks. I didn't know what they were. They weren't gauged. They were just simply sampled. And when they went to bottling, the losses were very small. We got nearly 600 bottles out of 3/4 casks.
Well, see, if the losses are very small, even a short period of time, it gives you some information that kind of relates to the cask itself. One is the thickness of the wood. Now, if this is imported staves, probably shaped and then coopered in Sweden, then the coopers are, they've got the opportunity to literally have thicker staves. Rather than a standard inch or an imperial inch, it can go slightly larger, which is going to improve the structural integrity and the sealing of the cask. But also, it's the fact that if it's been coopered in Sweden, so if they're going to that expense, it means that the wood has not been kiln dried. It's been air conditioned. And so important, the majority of ex-bourbon casks were made for a minimum of 2-year maturation of bourbon for a corporation.
I see where you're coming from, but we're not talking about imported American oak that's been coopered in Sweden. We're talking about imported American oak barrels that have been recoopered into quarter casks in Sweden.
Right, I missed that.
Those have been charred already,
right,
and they would be recoopered into quarter casks. Overland Drams, that's Chucky saying, do you feel like Swedish whiskey mirrors Scotch whiskey enough to share the same quality markers? I would suggest to you that maybe if we just speak about Swedish whiskey there, and my limited experience of the distilleries and the Swedish whiskies I've tried, from the likes of what was once called Box Distillery, it's now called High Coast, from the likes of Smogan and McMira, with the exception of McMira, the others tend to be made in an homage to Scotch style. They're not trying to change anything. So they're doing things 100% malted barley, maturation for a minimum of 3 years. All the things tend to be made in a Scotch style. And I would suggest to you, Smogan stands out. There's a very, very distinctive style to Smogan, but it's made, and the owner of Smogan, Per Caldenby, will tell you that he has tried to make the best whiskey he can, and it's just incidentally been made where he lives in Sweden. And he was obsessed by Islay whiskies. He was obsessed by the West Coast style. Most of what he does is peated. This is lightly peated, this whiskey. But if you taste anything from that distillery, if you taste anything from High Coast or whatever, you'll taste a Scotch alike. I don't know if that's what you were after there, Chuck. Whiskey Music bought us a dram. Here's to recreation and rest, maybe. Research and reviews, fantastic, buddy. Plus, really, really grand gentleman. I dare to assume you might be talking about us. That would be nice to consider ourselves grand gentlemen. And Doodle the Dram, the superstar that is Arne, is saying, I think Ashgein Mark 1 and yours are the only thing comparable to Kilkerran. Oh, that's interesting. I can see where you're coming from there. I think I would be able to pick, and I think you might be able to pick Kilkerran and Smogan apart if we were blind, but then again, maybe not. The Smogan is proper whiskey, says Jimmy Like, but it's definitely distinct. I believe I could pick it out, but that's in a great way Aquavitae.
You know, I don't think you want non-Scotch whiskey to be too similar to Scotch.
It can't help be something different.
It's got to be
even
different.
When it's an homage made in the Scotch style. The whiskey takes care of itself. It's going to be different. I mean, this is distinctive whiskey.
It's very good for you know, it's very good at what it is, Roy, and it's something that I always kind of have a glance over into other countries now and again. But what I notice is that the availability of non-Scotch whiskey, better non-Scotch whiskey in where I am, is completely overshadowed by the availability of Scotch.
Absolutely. And that makes sense. We're at 160 distilleries in Scotland now, producing malt whiskey. I'm not talking about the grain distillers, the big massive grain distilleries. 160 distilleries. And if you go to Sweden, they've got, what, half a dozen? You know, and it just makes sense. And even when we talk about the number of distilleries, 90 of the distilleries in Scotland are massive. You know, million, 2 million, 3 million plus, up to, in the case of Macallan, 15 million, Glenfiddich and Glenlivet, 21 million. These are massive, massive, massive outlets. And when we go over to the distilleries in Sweden, he fills half a barrel a day on the days that he's filling.
We've got
a couple of barrels a week at best.
We've got a distillery like that here in the Isle of Man.
Exactly. The type of distilleries that you would find in a tiny little spot like this come from a product of passion, from a hobbyist brewer distiller type outfit, and they probably do it alongside some gins, some other spirits.
He malts his barley in a stainless steel catering cupboard.
So he's malting his own barley.
He's malting his own barley in a garage.
So tiny, tiny quantities.
Very tiny. And the thing is, because it's Manx whiskey, and Manx whiskey is a rarity, and it's good quality. And again, he is using 50 centilitre bottles because of such low volume of production. And his whiskey is flying out because it's local, it's quality, and it catches people's attention.
And they've got the footfall coming through, right? The bikers, the tourists. There's a lot of bikers here. This is just the culture, the bike culture here. I've got a question for you, Ralphie, before we go on to another dram. What's the state of WhiskyTube right now? What's the state of YouTube for us?
WhiskyTube has always been morphing and changing, but we notice that the complexity of conversation, the desire for original and authentic opinion is very, very strong. And there's a core of whiskey aficionados who are not just enjoying the whiskey, but importantly, enjoying the whiskey journey. The people they meet, the places they go, the bottles they buy, whether drinking with companions or solitary. There's no harm in drinking solitary if you're focusing on the quality and not getting carried away by the quantity. And I think that my challenge for me now, Roy, is that I'm increasingly reviewing more obscure bottles, which are independent bottlings, which are not widely available. And I'm saying, listen, I'm reviewing this because you won't see this bottle, but you will see something like it on the shelf of a specialist whiskey shop. And when you do, you really should be curious, because if you don't have better quality whiskey on your radar, you'll start to get fatigued with the whiskey that starts to become boring to you, because your palate is actually developing better than you realize.
And I think that we are getting over this. When WhiskyTube started out, I think it was incumbent upon us to be talking about whiskies and distilleries that people across the world. YouTube doesn't see borders, right? The internet doesn't see borders. So when we put a video out there, a review or a broadcast, everybody can watch it from everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was incumbent upon us to try and pick things that probably people could get their hands on and understand. So it could be this shared experience, and it wasn't a presentation. It wasn't like television we were doing. We wanted people to be able to enjoy the same things we were enjoying and things like that. Where we are now, as you've already touched upon briefly there, the knowledge that we have from our audience, I think, is much greater than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And that creates a problem.
I think it creates a problem, but you've just solved the problem, because the stuff that we are drinking, the natural arc of whiskey exploration means that you maybe start off with the ubiquitous stuff, the available stuff, the safe stuff.
Yeah, because you need to get your bearings.
And then you keep going and going and going, and then you end up down at this really quite niche, independent bottling stuff where you suddenly want to know, like, all the details that's written on the side here. You want to know you want the transparency to be there. You want to understand, is it floor malted? You want to understand how much peat is in this, what kind of what's the barley strain, what kind of yeast did you use, distillers brew, all of that. You're in and out of all the details. You become much, much, much more fussy and much more invested in it. That gave you and I a problem, because suddenly we're speaking about these niche things, but you've just solved it, because we start to talk about things not from the perspective of an individual bottle, but from the perspective of a concept, or a distillery, or a style, or a profile, or all the other things that can go into effect the things that the flavors that we're tasting in the glass.
So name me, Roy, an independent bottler which you think is absolutely capturing this moment in time with their presentation, prices, and attitude. I've got a name, but I want you to go first.
Well, I tell you what, you count down from 3, and on 0 we'll both say the same thing.
3, 2, 1.
You nearly caught me out there.
I did catch you out. Right, 3, 2, 1. Living Souls.
Brothers. Well, I'll agree with you on Living Souls as well.
Living Souls came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We didn't know who they were. Never heard of them. You go into a
Living Souls brand, yes.
Right. See, let me give you some advice here. See, when you go into a high street, reliable, independent whiskey shop, ask them a question. Say, excuse me, can I ask you, this is where I am at whiskey. What would you like to sell me? Right. I'm on a budget. I'm 5 years into whiskey.
Budget's critical, yes.
Budget's important. I'm on a budget. I've got maybe about 40, 50, maybe 60 pounds, but I'm looking for a genuinely good quality bottle of whiskey, which I would never spot on a shelf on a month of Sundays. And I did that. And I mean, I've been around whiskey for about 40 years. So I went into the shop and I said, you know, have you got anything? They said, oh, I've got this new independent bottler. And they've got this 18-year-old whiskey, and it's a sort of non-disclosed sort of single malt, but it's a really good price. And we've tried it from the little sample bottle that we got before we bought it in, so we could taste and try before we buy. It's not just the customers that taste and try before we buy at a specialist whiskey shop. The whiskey producers, independent bottlers and small distilleries, the most persuasive technique is to actually deliver little miniature sample bottles to the shop for staff to try, because it's one of the perks of the job. And they said, this is an 18-year-old something or other. And
you're talking about 99 and 1, aren't you?
I'm talking about 99 and 1, absolutely, which was what, Deanston?
Lechick,
18-year-old Lechick. But when I tasted it, it was far more elemental. It was Lechick in a different mood. And I'd never tasted it. So I've got to say, hang a bit, I've got to recalibrate my senses here for this. This is a brand new experience. What even before I get to the taste, you can literally immediately tell this is good quality stuff.
That was a dense whiskey. That was a dense whiskey.
Very, and with where our palates are at, Roy, we are needing that little challenge, which can only really come from an eccentric, an unusual, or a dense whiskey, or something that we're tasting for the first time we've never quite tasted before, and therefore subconsciously our sense of smell and taste is intrigued.
Fascinating. It really is. And as you're chatting there, and as we spoke about Living Souls, Greg from Paris, always good to see you, and Greg, I hope you're keeping well, buddy. He's saying Scotch for Scots, not to be found here, too bad. So he's in that one sentence, going on from the YouTube chat that we had, he summed up the problem that we start raving about Living Souls, and everybody that can't get Living Souls are like, well, what's the point? The thing is that every bottle of Living Souls, whether you review it or I review it, there's going to be something that we can talk about that's concept-based, flavor-based, distillery-based, whatever it is. But also, Greg, if you're traveling, or if you're in a country, if you're in the Netherlands, if you're in a neighboring country, or if you're in Scotland or the UK, you know, through us talking about it, to have your eyes open in that whiskey shop for Living Souls, and know that it might be one of those independent bottlers that even if you can't try before you buy, it's a trustworthy buy blind. You're probably going to be pouring fantastic liquid. So it's armed before you go in, because the chatter is there. it's frustrating because we're in things that's made in a cask, a very small batch. That's intrinsically what this product is. The chances of it being available to everybody all the time, all over the world, is actually quite slim.
It's quite slim, but we are bringing it to people's attention because we're first adopters. And this results in these small, conscientious, authentic, independent bottlers gaining sales, gaining traction, and gaining reach. And then they're now in a position, as they grow, that they are looking to distribute further afield into other markets. And the fact that the commentators like yourself and I are prepared to actually review what are obscure whiskies instead of just running to buy another bottle of
Dalwhinnie 15,
Dalwhinnie 15 or Lagavulin 16, and we just kind of gloss over the excessive chill filtration, the dumbing down of the mechanization of the over branding that is going on with big companies, because they are now committed further and further to the passive consumer that's harder to reach unless they remove the awkwardness of unpalatable flavors for the sugar-saturated modern palate weaned on Monster Energy drink and crunchy nut cornflakes.
Other brands are available.
Yes, other brands are available.
Sugar-laden brands are available.
And we see that recently, and it's just happening, so we're letting you, keeping you up to date here. There's another little dynamic independent bottler called Little Brown Dog, and they're actually have now got a bottling partnership. So we're now seeing small independent bottlers gang up together to bring out a collective bottling,
collaborative
bottling, yeah.
And you'll only see that with small companies, independent companies.
Absolutely.
And another thing Little Brown Dog is doing, and this is blurring the lines. If we talk about, you and I had a chat just earlier today, I think, or last night about blurring. Talk about blurring the lines. Little Brown Dog have now got an official bottling out there, and it's a 12-year-old Glengarry.
Yeah.
Fully natural, says so all on the label. I think it's 50 quid, 55 quid, something like that. So we've now got Woodrow's of Edinburgh bringing out the Jane Street series. We've now got multiple examples. We've seen it with the Thompson brothers over the years, with the TBBSW, the SRV5, multiple examples of independent bottlers bringing out always ready, always available core range products. That's what they are.
So splendid idea. We see Signatory doing it with Symington's Blend.
10-year-old Symington's Blend, 34 quid. Have you tried it yet?
I haven't. I'm in no rush. I'll get round to it, Roy. There's far too much stuff out there for you and I to even keep up with.
You're reviewing a bottle a week. You're going to get to it at some point. This is the crux. So when we have to smash these things together, because I asked you the question, the state of YouTube, and it inevitably drew us into this really interesting discussion, because the independent bottlers are showing the legacy industry where the real interested is. How many years is it going to take before the people at the leading edge, the bleeding edge, actually start to, everything starts to move in that direction. I put it to you that it's quicker than we think, because 20 years ago, how many natural whiskies were available?
Do you know, the irony was, a number of years ago, not that long ago, big companies like Diageo actually had their own in-house independent bottlers, and it was called Flora and Fauna and Rare Malt Selection.
Rare Malts is gone, unfortunately.
Rare Malt's totally gone now.
Flora and Fauna there's still 11 expressions of Flora and Fauna available. Unfortunately, despite the fact that you're right, you can liken that to blurring the lines in the opposite direction. Diageo releasing something that looks akin to independent bottling, but it's still chill filtered and it's still put out at 43% ABV. Unfortunately, I still enjoy those whiskies. It's a wee fetish of mine. However, we are in a situation today that you go into the Good Spirits Company in Glasgow and Bath Street, 90% of the whiskey you're looking at is natural. It's we're excited about. Whereas 20 years ago, before the Good Spirits Company existed, but 20 years ago, you went into a whiskey specialist, 90% of it would have been chill filtered and coloured.
And something I'd like to mention on top of what Roy's saying, that whether it be the Good Spirits Company or Aberdeen Whisky Shop or Royal Mile Whiskies, when we go in, we are automatically drawn and self-conditioned to be looking at the whiskies. But if you take twice as long as you intended to take to spend more time looking closely at the shelves, you will start to see that the range of available high quality gins is increasing. There are some fabulous quality rums out there. I've just bought some Venezuelan rum, which has been matured in ex-whiskey casks in Venezuela. Now, that's a new thing that, you know, the use of ex-whiskey casks in Caribbean and South American country rums, this is a fairly new phenomenon. Now, a word of caution, heavily peated whiskey casks don't necessarily work too well because they can clash with the funk of the rum. But if you move on to the vermouths, the aperitifs, and you'll notice that there's small, just as you've got the micro distilleries and the small distilleries in whiskey, you're getting small distilleries, artisan producers of aromatic bitters, of vermouths, which are absolutely knocking the socks off the increasingly big brand banality that you're finding in the supermarket, where the quality of brands like Campari, right, has really fallen away. I bought a bottle of Campari because it's Campari and soda, or Pimm's. Pimm's is another splendid example. I'm going to just say it. It used to be great. It's garbage now. And what you have is the blandification of branding with big corporations. Not all. I think Bacardi is a standout exception, with Altmore, which we just don't see enough of, and also Craigellachie.
They need to do the same with Aberfeldy, please.
They really do. The problem with Aberfeldy is it was never the same when they swapped the stills around. There's another distillery where they swapped the stills around and never disclosed it, never mentioned it, and that's Glenglassaugh.
I've tried some very, very good Aberfeldy. Admittedly, some of them were well aged, I have to say. I think the problem with Aberfeldy that we see today in the core range is the 40% issue that we see. However, we have digressed again. I want to bring it back to this really interesting chat. I loved it. But where does that leave us? Where does that leave the state of YouTube? What is your general gut feeling of what we're doing? Because we all only occupy a little sliver of the whiskey landscape, right?
Correct.
And that's in YouTube, which is already so we're a sliver of YouTube, WhiskyTube. WhiskyTube is a sliver of the bigger whiskey landscape. But that nonetheless, that's what we do, and we don't have any plans to diversify out. We're very content. I use that word again, content. But where do you see whiskey YouTube? I mean, I'm sitting here in the Bothy, Ralphie. This is sorry, it's incredible for me. And
take your time.
I just need to take a moment to talk about that, because when you said, right, why don't you come over? Why don't you come over here? Here, you sent a wee card, a lovely wee card with the Manx. What's it called on at the crest?
The Triskelion.
Triskelion, right?
Just to put it into perspective, the last time I was over co-hosting the Oswes, I wanted to acknowledge the fact that it's the 5th year of the online Scotch Whisky Awards. And Roy and I discussed the fact that with our little sliver of the internet, you really need to do something to try and move things on a little bit, have an enhanced identity, somewhere that can become a collective portal for proactive and growing other whiskey content creators, primarily on the YouTube, but not necessarily, to contribute to it, to participate in it, and to see that we're part of a growing morphing of what we do, so we're not too much in our own cozy little cocoons. We're prepared to push it out a little bit. And in my opinion, Roy, there's no doubt about it, there would have been no first English Whisky Awards without the Scotch Whisky Awards. The online Scotch Whisky Awards, I think, proved that there was a formula for the online English Whisky Awards, which was a very genuine and a humble and realistic start to what can grow for English whiskey. The same could be done for American bourbon. You and I just have to be the right moment at the right time. We can't read too far into the future. We both know that so-called AI, which is simply accelerated processing. AI is a euphemism. It's a distraction. It's there is vastly accelerating computational abilities because we're getting past the silicon microchip era, and that the development of new microchips is absolutely mind-blowing.
Your talent to be able to digress and think is just never ceases to.
It's like, very frustrating.
It's just no, but it's you're following a flow.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, is it? Are you able to give us an idea? Do you have a feeling on? You know, you talked about the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, the very professional job done by.
Hence the reason I invited you over, because I thought it's Jeff, time to acknowledge all the work you've put in with the levers and the buttons on the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, while I sit there like a dafty, just pitching in now and again.
No, I mean,
in my role as Captain Grumpy.
Well, that's the thing, is that you need the figurehead, you need the idea, you need the thing to, and there, I have a team as well that help me, of course.
Lovely guys.
Right, we've got obviously Rob, we've got Chuck, we've got Barry last year that joined as well. And just, it was fantastic to have that sense of not having to do it on your own. It's all great. Very professional job by Jeff, Finn, and everybody that was involved in the English Whisky Awards. It would be nice if we could see that continue and endure. And the Online Scotch Whisky Awards will be back in 2027. This is just us taking it. We committed to the 5 years. We did the 5 years, and we think that the Online Scotch Whisky Awards might do well to be every second year. But we reserve the right to change our mind on that.
Absolutely.
However, that was born out of us being where we are and doing what we do. Do you think we'll still be where we are and doing what we do on Whisky Tube in 2027 and 2028 and 2029? Are you still content? Do you still think that this is a positive thing? Because if we were to admit, if I was to admit, I can't speak for you. If I was to admit, all of the things that are public are down, views, likes, all that, and I'm not just talking about the Aquavite channel. I'm talking about Dramface. I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about, and the feedback that I'm getting general is that that's down. However, when I look behind the scenes, the people who care, the community, the people who step up to support me is up.
It is up.
It's robust. So they're saying, loving it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. But we're seeing a general slump in demand, and the concentric circles of interest has started to fade a wee bit, and we're back to the core now. But again, I'm using that thing about back to 2017. Are you finding the same thing?
No, I disagree with you. I think your snapshot is too narrow and too limited. I think that the whole whiskey scene is cyclical, just like the whiskey industry is cyclical. The attention towards whiskey has its own, it's become more seasonal. We're now seeing both your channel and my channel, you take your summer break. I have my summer rum season. That never used to happen. Now I've got subscribers looking forward to what rums will Ralphie be putting on the table in September. And I've got the people from the rum scene coming across because they're intrigued. What does the whiskey guy, what's his take on the rum scene? So I'm looking online at all the shops and I'm thinking, right, I'm only looking for 3 rums. I want them to be absolute belters, affordable, available, and literally for the whiskey fans to have a bit of a rest. Because do you know what? when we're drinking whiskey in wintertime, it's the most warming and calming. But when it gets to the high heat of summer, and my goodness, we're seeing it this year, people start to think, you know, I actually want a bit of a longer drink. So you go into the whiskey shop and you say, instead of 2 bottles of whiskey, I'm going to get a bottle of vermouth, but I don't want standard brand vermouth. This happened to me. I bought a bottle of Britannia, made in London, orange bitters. It comes in a rectangular matte glass black bottle. And I opened it and I put it in with some soda water and a little bit of fresh fruit. And it blew my socks off because it was everything that Pim's, a major recognized brand, should be, but absolutely catastrophically is not. It is all big companies inevitably have the blandification of brand because they need to stop putting off the customer with this pesky thing called flavor in the counterculture. And this is like, you've got the Edinburgh Festival happening at the moment in Edinburgh, an arts festival. Now you've got the official festival, which people ignore because they're at the fringe. They want the silly entertainment, the high street jugglers, the 2 o'clock in the morning stand-up comedian who's pished out his face, but still absolutely unloads and everybody has a laugh about it. That's the uniqueness of the fringe. And I think that you and I are whiskey fringe, and that it may look that a small number of folk, but the folk who are the small number of whiskey fringe enthusiasts, the quality and standard of knowledge and awareness of where the really good stuff is without any historical parallel, ever. And when we look at the generational differences, we have our grandfathers that once a year they get a bottle of famous grouse because, you know, they could afford a little bit more than the bottle of Bell's, and they were totally made up. And then we've got our father's generation, and they'd have, you know, an occasional single malt for a special occasion, and they wouldn't add water, and it would be at 40% or 43%, and that was the way it was made, intended to be drunk, and they totally accepted it. And when they finished one bottle, they bought another bottle of the same brand because they were brand loyal. And I remember...
I'm a Highland Park man.
You were a Highland Park man.
Whoever, just you would hear that type
yeah.
of thing. Oh, my dad was a Highland Park man.
And I'm a Lagavulin because the Lagavulin is that all that smokiness. That denotes my sophistication and the fact that I feel I've got lawyer status. And then Britain, you've got this very much the badging of whiskey according to your social status. Absolutely a fact. But then we get to our generation, and the problem we face is that we're not just spoiled for choice today, generally, with all sorts of consumables. We have to narrow it down as quickly as possible to avoid disappointment. But we also have to preempt what's going to be the next bottle coming into the shop. So when Roy or Ralphie or another commentator starts introducing new brands, like, for example, Little Brown Dog, or another really good example, Glenmore, or Lady of the Glen. I mean, at the moment, Roy, I've opened a bottle of 12-year-old Clynelish Lady of the Glen, and you pour a glass and this wonderful magic thing happens. You think, OMG, this is banger. First glass, first nose, first taste, it's a home run. And we're all looking for that.
That's exciting for me because you've got Ralphie sitting in the Bothy, 30 plus years into sipping whiskey, and you can still open a fresh
30
bottle.
Plus, no, let me give you an update, Malty. You know,
40 plus.
40, 85. 85.
41 years.
40, we'll call it 40 years. Because when I first moved into Glasgow, I was rum and tonic. And it's only when I went to the local bar, and it's got it in my book, Search for a Whiskey Bothy. I went into the local bar and I walked in and I was in for the beer. I was in for a pint of Younger's Number 3. I love that beer. Really delicious, malty, aromatic, non-hoppy ale, traditional stuff. That in fact I based the whiskey chaser.
Yes,
it was in for a couple of years at the Bon Accord, but unfortunately that brewery's gone bust. But I still have a kind of the recipe that I discussed with the brewer at that point, so we can do it again in the future. But it was a really old-fashioned style of flavor-restrained beer, which is perfect because it will never challenge the whiskey with too much hoppiness or intensity.
That's interesting that you say that. I love a beer and a whiskey when I'm in the mood for such a thing.
Absolutely.
But I often find that that the hops fight with the whiskey a little bit.
Hence the reason this is a local brewery that I get on well with. I've actually I've gifted them some of my discarded casks from some of the whiskies I've bottled, because I hate an empty cask going to waste. I just can't stand it. I say, stack it outside, north wall, please. I'll pick it up in the van.
Yep.
In the maltmobile. And this is a lager beer from a local brewery. They've just started canning their own stuff. And it's a big hit with the bikers. And naturally, I sourced some for you and I to try. You haven't got a can yet.
I don't. But I'll
because you're still sipping your water. But the can's ready. Can I introduce something completely off script?
We wouldn't have it any other way. I just want to say a shout out to Stuart Douglas there, Aquavita. You look parched. Get a drink poured. What are we having? What's your recommendation for the no hops?
No hops. This isn't no hops. This is low hops.
Low hops, yeah.
So I'll take out the freezer blocks, and I'm going to give you a can of Valhalla.
Oh, okay.
From Odin Brewery.
Get it poured. There you go, Stuart.
This I'm now discovering the beauty of a fresh, wet, emptied whiskey cask. You very, very rarely put beers and ales into a peated whiskey cask. You think it should work. It does not work. Innocent Gun, who were the pioneers, what are you doing?
I'm just having a wee nose of the beer. Do you smell the beer? No. It's quite an aromatic beer. Cheers.
It's an aromatic beer. Cheers. Yeah. It's relatively light. It's a lager beer.
Did you see that? What are you doing? What are you doing? Am I doing it right?
No.
I'm in the Bothy.
That was very padly poured. You glugged it in. Look at the head. You're going to have to give that 2 minutes to settle down.
That'll be fine.
And it's, that.
Do you want a flake in that, right? I'm sitting in the
Bothy. I'm going to clear a wee bit of space here.
Getting a row for Alfie. Who'd have thought?
Can I put this on the shelf here? Put this on the shelf beside my Cooper's hammer. Can I show these things? This is a Cooper's hammer. And I've got to be careful because it's a little bit loose. But this, I'm going to hold this forward. This is an absolute antiquity. Have a look at that. Do you know what that is?
Yep.
What is it, Roy?
I don't know what it's called, but I've seen it being used.
It's a barrel chisel.
Yeah.
And see that head there? Look how worn it is.
Yeah.
And see the other end, bring it round, and look how many times do you think that was struck with a hammer over decades?
Yeah.
That was tools left behind. See how he wrapped it in red electrical tape?
Yeah.
So when he dropped it in the muck, he could
see it.
He could see it and pick it up again. That is a virtually worn out Cooper's chisel for banging the staves off of barrels. And that was left behind by a Cooper who retired, and he was right-handed. Do you know why? Because when you hold the chisel, it's hit an angle. Now, What if he'd held it that way around? But no, he held it this way around because the writing sticking up on this side, because you worked the chisel one way, turned it the other way, turned it back again, and you just got into the habit of banging away and doing your job. And when he retired, he didn't need his tools anymore. He left it behind. I saw it lying in the ground. I asked if I could have it. And do you know what? I'm using it now and again for dismantling some of these old casks for firewood for the Bothy fire.
So there you go.
There you go.
I have to say, this is, I need to dwell on it a second before. It's just how cool it is to be here. It's an absolute privilege.
It's a dump, Roy. The Bothy is a dump. Look at the state of the place. Look at the mold. Look at the cobwebs. There's bats in the ceiling. There's been flies that we were plagued recently with moths because we left the door of the Bothy open.
And we did it again tonight. We never learned yesterday.
Never learned.
So we sat in here again tonight as we were setting up.
Yeah.
We left the door open when the midges came in.
Midges came in.
Luckily, they've been drinking the whiskey and they've fallen on the floor. Probably
they are paralytic by now.
And I've realised why I don't have beer on the vPub. Do you want to know why? Because I get my burp on.
Right.
You have beer and you. Yeah.
This is going to be entertaining. You've had a long day, and
we had a fantastic tour of the island. I presume that's where we are when I came out the Stargate. You know, I presume that we've been delivered at some place in Isle of Man.
We went to the world's largest water wheel.
We did. We saw some fantastic Victorian engineering, Victorian mines. We saw wonderful beaches.
Yes.
We had some cracking food.
Yeah, we had red onion jam on our cheese and ham panini.
They had no mayo left. Ralphie wanted some mayo. We were given a choice, so they said, well, what about some of our red onion jam that we do? So we both had that. It was fabulous.
It was really good. Yeah.
We went I visited quite a few of the towns. We stood on top of a really tall ancient castle. Castle Russian. It's the Rushen. Yeah. And we watched motorbike racing from the top of the castle, right? Yeah. The island is just teeming with motorbikes. They're like wasps or bees zipping about everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
But to be in the Bothy, to see the mold on the wall, to see that it's a real thing.
To get bitten by the midges.
To get bitten by the whole experience, the red carpet treatment. And I'm not even
with the what carpet? There's no carpet, sir. Some scabby old mat the cat scratches on. That's as good as you're going to get around here. Don't make yourself too comfortable.
Red carpet. And I'm not even going to mention, for fear of FOMO, the whiskies that you were pouring for me yesterday evening. But there's a big drama. I just want to say thanks to Groove Messenger. I missed you. I clicked like, but I've never had a chance to say thank you, buddy, for your generous dram there. Justin Wan in Hong Kong, he's still up. He's sitting up late with us again, buddy. Have a good summer, you lovely whiskey tubers. It's wonderful always to have you in. And look, there's the Roy emoji next to the Ralphie emoji. Justin, thank you very much.
Right, we're just ready for the Simpsons. I'll have a wee episode in whiskey, and here comes the two odd pods. Here comes the Laurel and Hardy, right, of the whiskey scene.
If it makes me an odd bod, I don't care anymore.
We do not. We're shameless around here. There's people in the whiskey industry don't really approve of us. Do you know that? But there's other folk in the whiskey industry say, actually, leave them alone. They're actually doing some good here.
And we only care about the folk that tune in, right? We only care about you guys. We're here. We're one of you. Danny Hebbington, you superstar. 2 leg ends together. What a great end of season. Enjoy your halls, Roy. Pouring a Ralphie 10-year-old Kalila. Oh, superb, Danny.
Oh, best good choice.
Health, gentlemen. I also have that. I was going to bring it over and open it, and Ralphie said, don't you dare.
No, don't you.
Billy Bennett. Billy, it's good to see you in, fella. How you keeping? He's bought me a generous dram, a great vPub from the Bothy with the 2 of the people that have been most important to my whiskey journey. Cheers to Billy, to Superstar Danny, to Superstar Justin, to Groove Messenger, to everyone that's supporting over the last I've started to call it a season, and I feel it's a wee bit pretentious, but there's not and until I get a better word for it. This is kind of the end of the season vPub. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for your drams. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody. Your good health.
So I want to, if possible, I wanted to bring it and I wanted to open it. I've just been reminded about the Kalila that I wanted to bring and open. But I, thank you very, very much, was gifted a bottle of Glenelgan. And I got to try it at the Good Spirits Company. They said, would you like to try a wee drop? I said, I'd love to try a wee drop. And it was absolutely gorgeous. But I could only have a teaspoon because I was going out for lunch after that. And after lunch, I was to be driving the car back home. So I could only taste a wee sip. So I was going to bring the Glenelgan over here. And Ralphie said, don't you dare. But this has been rinsed out with a wee bit of water. And this is the Glenelgan. This is your bottle of the Glenelgan.
This is currently, I sold the barrel to the Good Spirits Company because I just like the continuity of people that I actually get on with. And I've known the guys there for coming on 20 years.
Yeah.
I remember when they were in odd bins. Now, I'm not going to have a pour of this because I've still got drams here. But here, yeah, I'll give you the bottle. Have a good look. Single cask.
Oh, no. Wait, let me.
Yeah, let on you go then. Don't drop it.
Look at this.
Yes.
Oh, hey, it works. It works a treat.
It needs to work. Have you seen the state of some of these whiskey bottle labels?
The font everywhere. It's not because things are getting bland. It's not because things are getting smaller. We're getting older. That's what's happening.
That's true.
It's age, Ralphie. It's age. 40. You've just confessed to 41 years of enjoying whiskey. I'm going to get myself a magnifying glass. That is just stunningly effective.
It's actually really important for bottle forensics.
Yeah.
Particularly if you have, and this is increasingly an issue, is the batch code, because with some brands, unfortunately, you have seriously inconsistency of quality.
We talk about bottle forensics. I don't know if you need a steampunker, but there's no cask information on this label.
There is no cask information. I'll tell you why. Because the only information that a bottler can put onto the label comes from what's called the delivery note. And the delivery note is not the fancy certificate. That's irrelevant. It's the actual legally recognized document that shows you own the cask. And you can only go with the information that's offered as disclosure, factual disclosure, which is the code for the cask, the name of the cask, which often is just hogshead.
Patchy, right?
It gets really, really patchy.
And in the era where we demand transparency, there just remains a scenario where provenance is largely lost or ignored, or it's going to take it's going to take some time for it all to catch up.
But with this one, Roy, it's always been in the same cask for as long as I've had it. I bought that about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just left it because some casks are what you call slow burners. In other words, you get a sample and you say, actually, this is such a spirit-driven young whiskey. I'm just going to leave it alone because with restrained cask influence, and this is something that Cadenheads has got a bit of a reputation for, with restrained cask influence, the actual cask influence is to enhance and glow up the actual spirit signature and kind of put it on a little bit of kind of supercharged rather than impose a lot of woodiness and oakiness. And for that, you do not want a particularly active cask. And in this case, you have, it's 15 because it's their 15th birthday as a business. And I offered them three samples and I say, take your pick. I mean, I know what I think of it. That was not my first choice, Roy.
I'm shocked. I would love to know what your first choice was, because this for me is gorgeous. Can I tell you why I think this is gorgeous?
Why?
Firstly, I have a wee affection for Glenelgan. My pal Scotty Monroe, his triumvirate, his trilogy is Imperial, Clynelish, and Longmorn. Mine would be Clynelish, often Imperial, a good Imperial from ex-bourbon.
Yeah.
But I would put Glenelgan before Longmorn, because for me, Longmorn can be often quite hot, especially at younger ages.
Yeah.
However, Glenelgan, small stills, dreamy whiskey. This to me is just all stone fruit. It's stone fruit, and it's creamy. I think this is bordering on waxy in style. And this is a mere 15 years old.
Right. I wouldn't have said that, Roy. What I would have said was, having tasted it and described it to my Patreon subscribers, because I always like my subscribers to be, you know, aware sooner rather than later of bottlings like this or anything I'm connected with. I would describe it as 1970s sweetie shops, where the sweets are in the jars on the shelf and are put into a white paper bag loose, and you get pineapple cubes, cola chunks, you get banana candies, banana softies, and it's that kind of sweetie confectionery type without particular sweetness. It is super ripe, it is ultra fruity, and it develops, by the way, after 10 minutes in the glass. The astringency of it, the effervescence really settles down, and it becomes much more elegant.
I think it's already elegant. I don't think it needs 10 minutes in the glass. I think this is fruity, but I would, rather than confectionery fruit, this is juicy fruit to me. It's stone fruit. I think there's a white stone fruit to this. Pale, sweet peach, not cooked or tinned, fresh fruit. And I also think that we're easily, I said bordering on waxy, then I took a sip and it's actually waxy. I think this is sublime. And this is 85 quid or something.
Yeah.
This is,
it's 85 pounds.
I know for obviously Greg and Paris and everybody in the States and everybody, these are the types of bottles that the Mule Network needs to kick in if you want these, because it's going to be hard for you to get them. But we're also talking about concepts here. So we're talking about Spirit Forward. We're talking about Glenelgan Distillery. And we're putting something on the map, a collaboration or some form of collaboration. You've sold the cask to Good Spirits Company, and they're celebrating their 15 years.
Yeah.
But you're also celebrating, actually, you're knocking on for 17 years now, aren't you?
Knocking on. You notice that I'm knocking on a bit, folks. You're absolutely right, Roy. But I tell you what, there's something else knocking on, and I want to introduce it to you. I want to tell you about. Put this back in the shelf. I'm knocking on 10 years since I set a world land speed record on the Bonneville Salt Flats on my two. That's my trophy, and you're about to dump some lager beer.
I just wanted to bring it up to make sure that it was center screen, that make sure that everybody could see it. But this is Malcolm Campbell's Bluebird, is it?
It's an approximation, but be careful with the dust on it, because that dust has been there for the last 10 years.
We can't disturb the patina.
Every layer of dust on the top of that trophy is celebrating the fact that after 10 years, my record in the Bonneville Salt Flats on my 250 air turbo push rod gas blowing fueled bike still stands. I still hold the record.
Here's to that.
Cheers.
Here's to not sitting on your arse. Here's to going out and achieving things.
Absolutely.
Here's to going out and just...
And do you know, there's many malt mates don't realise how much of an irresponsible bike fiend I am.
Aye. There's sides to folk.
And today you saw the outrageously risky Southern 100 racing from the safety of the turrets of a 14th century Civil War castle, where you were secure from being struck by a
flying bike,
which had left the track.
It was sidecar racing that was on at the time that we were there as well, right?
It was, yeah.
Even crazier, right? However, I think that is amazing that we've got, you know, so you're now a whiskey tuber, whether you like the term or not. That's what you refer to as a whiskey tuber, and you're probably ambivalent. You don't care whether you're a.
I don't think about it. What I think is, after 16 years, how do I just keep going without getting too grumpy? I had a grumpy stage 2 years ago with the red jacket year. It was a grumpy year, very grumpy, because it was the stage of transitioning, right? Because even whiskey tubers transition from being regularly reviewing big available brands, which are increasingly disappointing. And oh my goodness, I'm telling you folks, Oban Little Bay, don't go there. Don't do it. Just don't. It will break your heart.
Red Jacket Ralphie's coming back again. I mean, I don't know that I was aware of an extra layer of grumpiness. It's interesting that you can reflect and see that. But I see a whiskey tuber. I see somebody with a job, a real job. That you do on your terms.
A real job? This is not a real job.
Some people know about it. No, the other job, your regular job, your legacy job, right? That you're still able to do and achieve. A record breaker and a record holder. You didn't just break the record, you still hold the record.
Still hold that record.
You're now a writer. You've got books out there as well. So, you know, there is a lot that you've...
Do you know the secret of success?
Where would you?
Don't own a television and never watch it. 99%.
Can you watch a telly you don't own, right?
99% of television content is instantly disposable and forgettable. It's designed to be. We live in a society in which others want to possess our time, because in possessing our time, they possess our destiny, because we are all ruled by time. I have abandoned that. I live increasingly in an old-fashioned manner, an old-fashioned style, where I boil potatoes and have sausages out of a frying pan and fried onions as a meal, and I love it. And I'll come, I've got a glass of whiskey in the evening by the fireside with the pussycats, and it's just absolutely heavenly. And all I have to do is just keep doing what I've been doing for a long time, which is really lo-fi, no editing, no fancy lighting, no pulling levers and pushing buttons. I can't do that. I leave all that to Roy, and just find another bottle, open it, and really sort of kind of describe it. Occasionally I get distracted. You understand that, malt mates? But I come back into script, and then there's the extras. And when I introduced the extras, it seemed like, you know, you're not even talking about a specific whiskey anymore. But it's not sharing expertise here. It's sharing experience.
I remember watching Ralphie videos. That's why it's crazy for me to be sitting here next to you. I remember watching Ralphie videos when you had to make sure that your video went out in less than 10 minutes. It had to be less than 10 minutes, right? Benny Fries.
That didn't last very long.
Your superstar, Benny, my pal in Denmark, he said, the Send Ralphie to the Czech Republic for education on heads-on lagers fund hereby started. Seriously, ask the Czechs about heads-on lagers and the important role it has. Cheers, guys. Love you both. But right is right. Benny, I had the privilege to enjoy a wee dram in Bath Street, SNWS, with Benny a couple of years ago. I hope you make it back again, Benny. Thank you very much for the generous dram, my friend. There's not much of a head on this lager anymore, but I like a head on my lager. Roy is so fancy, isn't he, Ralphie? You can't you describe me as fancy? Please don't describe me as
Roy,
fancy.
You do have little fancifications.
All right, okay.
Okay.
Okay, well,
you're not completely fancy.
It's all relative. Don't read the news. Important news will be relayed to you by friends and acquaintances. The rest is inconsequential. Justin from Hong Kong. I have to say,
spot on.
I think I agree with that.
Spot on.
Yeah. If you read the news, you feel the weight on your shoulders.
When you read the news, you're misinformed. When you find your own news, you're partially informed. And when you acknowledge that you'll never know everything, you realize you'll never be fully informed, but you're ahead of 99% of everybody else.
But when you have the energy and you have the mood in the moment, at least attempt to be informed.
Have you got the moment for a North Star Ralphie?
Bothy blend.
Bothy blend.
I tell you,
this is a unique thing, by the way. And as a successful content creator in your own right, Roy, you must realize the importance of
relative.
The first ever verified, first ever live blending in real time that happened with this bottle.
This is sold out now, isn't it?
Virtually, there's literally maybe about 24 bottles left around the world. It's completely sold out in the USA. I'm delighted actually that with North Star, I specifically asked Ian Croucher, the proprietor, you know, I've got American fans on Patreon. Can you find an importer that will actually take about maybe 100 or so bottles, as many as they're going to feel they can sell? It's completely sold out now in the USA. And again, this is not exactly approved of by the authorities, but there's a full disclosure of the percentage and ages of the components of that blend. The proceeds are going to the Macmillan Cancer Care Charity, and it was a really fun thing to be involved in, and I'm glad I did it. I won't be doing it again because these have got to be few and far between to retain their specialness.
I would agree with that sentiment. I can understand why you would want to do that only occasionally, and it's nice to have this. And that was probably your biggest ever outturn of any project that you've been involved in, right? 1,300 bottles.
1,322 odd bottles. And I never expected, to be honest, that Ian would have been quite as ambitious. But the way Ian was working it was he had an empty sherry butt because he's got his own warehouse and his own bottling plant as an independent bottler, which means he can guarantee, being independent as a bottler, that there's no risk of semi-chill filtration happening to his whiskey, which is important. He's very tactical and very good at keeping good relationships within the Scotch whisky industry. And that gives him, in my opinion, access to bigger companies who are looking to sell parcels, which is an industry term for a mixed assortment of casks, which have been isolated in a warehouse cleanup, and they've just to be offloaded. Just get rid of them. They're taking up valuable space, and the big companies will approach select small independent bottlers and just say, are you interested? And I think this has been a big advantage to North Star. I really enjoyed the fun of this, visiting them, discussing it with them in the office over a dram, and then following it through because, Roy, it's an absolute legitimate first. It's never been done before.
The online blending,
the
depth of collaboration.
The live online blending where you're quite literally taking sample bottles. Right, now you're in a unique position here because if you want, you can now taste the component whiskies.
The core components, yeah.
And nobody else has got this opportunity, Roy. But you're in the Bothy, and I'm giving you this opportunity. You can now blend this, and it won't be anything like this, because this has been married together in a fresh emptied sherry butt. This is why there was 1,320 bottles. And I seriously wondered, is it actually going to be enough interest? Because the price is at £70 which is relatively high for a blended malt, but it says 11-year-old in the label, but we know there's 17-year-old component in it. So that starts to explain the price. But there's the component whiskies. You can try all of them. You could try the Kalila on its own, or you could try the Tiananik on its own. So the Othrusk, to see what an absolute banger of a single malt that is. The success, the way you succeed with blending any whiskey, anytime, anywhere is very, very simple. Good quality components. You only ever get good blended whiskey from good separate whiskies that you're bringing together. They very, very rarely turn bad.
Shite in, shite out, right?
Yeah.
I would say that I'm very, very glad, and we are talking about something that I'm really quite interested and special here, because this was all done. You didn't get any money out of this.
Not a penny.
This was a charity project from you, and yeah, I'm drawn to the Thrusk. I'm drawn to the Chitty-chat. I can see, but it's right up my street. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're bringing components together to make 1,300 of something.
See this one with white cap? These are the 5 components. Where's the 6th one? This is the pre-sherry butt compiled blend.
This is the marriage before it goes in for...
Yes.
So if this is the blend before it goes in the cask for marriage.
So if you were to taste that, Roy, right,
next to the final married product, we can do that.
It will show you tangibly, directly, the influence of the marrying cask.
Well, let's have a clean glass, because I want to say something about this. There's a wee bit of an industrial belt to this.
Oh, totally. It's Victorian steam engines, locomotives, and sidings with coal stacked in it.
So what do you think has brought that? What components have brought that? The Kalila?
No, I think it's the casks that have brought it, not the individual.
Not the spirit?
Spirits, no. I think it's the actual complexity of multiple sherry casks, because they're all sherry casks being brought together as a winner. This is as much.
So the nose on the married product is industrial. The nose on this is brighter.
Far brighter. And therefore that shows the impact of the funk of that sherry butt
of wood,
which fused all the component whiskies together, which had been pre-blended, and it basically just enhanced the whole thing.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
I wouldn't suggest that those are the same whiskies. That's and how long was the marriage in the sherry butt?
4 months.
It's completely changed
It has, hasn't it?
The whiskey. It's completely changed it. There's that.
This is new stuff, by the way.
It's added a thickness as well.
It has,
and that doesn't make sense to me, because of mouthfeel and weight and body for me has always come from the spirit.
But I tell you what's going on there, and this is real forensic stuff. See that sherry butt? That sherry butt had probably been empty for about a month, and you're coming into the end of winter. The ambient temperature is rising, and the cask has been emptied, but it's not going off. It's not going rancid. It's nowhere near that, but it is becoming a little bit more funky. And then you put these whiskies into it, and that funkiness is actually increasing the complexity of the sensation components of sour, bitter, and umami.
Sour, there's sour, umami. I would lean with as well. What you've done is you've taken quite a fresh blend, I have to say, but I can see why you'd say, okay, this is the way we're going to do it. And it's 4 months in that sherry cask. Were you surprised when it came out like it did after the 4 months?
Of course, because I've still got the original bottling that I was given what's it say here? Ralphie Blend. So I was sent this little bottle by post, which was the actual...
I can't read that, sir, but I have a solution.
You have a solution, yes. Feel free to engage and use the facilities of the Bothy.
Yeah.
They are there at your disposal.
This is when it's at 54.2% was the bottling, 54.1.
The whole thing's been absolutely fascinating to be part of. What I've done...
Does it mean that you view blenders like, okay, people who blend whiskey, their job's quite easy, or does it make you have more of a respect for the blending process? The blending process is multifaceted, and by all means comment on that.
It makes me appreciate that as a blender, I'm very instinctive and I need to work on a structure.
But you're not doing a Michael Henry where you're blending to a remit, a previous bottling, or a commission by somebody or something. That's a skill. That's a skill. Or you're not sitting down there with 60 samples to go through each and every sample to grade where they are. Do they need put back? They need left? That's not what we're doing. We're taking already good whiskies at the point of maturity, and mixing them together to try to achieve something that's better than some of the parts.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think when you're doing that, you've got the ability, or you've got the opportunity to succeed.
Yeah, I think that once the word got out that this was such a complex, cask-driven, multi-cask, the way I look at it is this is a successful composition of separate single malts, but also it's greatly enhanced by the separate composition of single casks, all of them sherry casks. So you get this extraordinary sherry complex, which has been brought together and significantly added to by that butt, which was Ian's idea. It wasn't mine, simply because he had the butt available. He wanted to keep using it because it's a valuable vessel, and it was plenty to give to the whiskey, and therefore he just sort of say, right, we're not going to be bottling for another 4 months. Let's just pull it all together. He's using his experience. I've done my little bit by assembling it and discussing it in a Bothy Live for Patreon subscribers who are getting brand new, authentic content that's never been seen before.
I'm going to doff my cap to Ian Croucher because I can't decide which of these two I prefer.
Oh, right, okay.
But because they're very, very different things. However, what I do think has happened here is that the original blend that was put together with confidence has now been Ian Crouchered in that butt.
So, yeah.
And it says Bothy on the label. And I think what he's done, whether it was intentional or not, I suspect not, is he's brought this whiskey closer to the vibe of this environment, the Bothy. There's a grunginess to this.
There is a grunginess, absolutely.
There's a kind of an authentic grime. What's the word that you used yesterday? Patina.
Patina, yeah.
Right, that kind of that idea that the more something is used, the more something exists, the more something is allowed to endure, the more character it takes on, but not from the original design, but from the use and the function of it. Somehow that whiskey is more in tune with where I'm sitting right now than the original blend that you put together. And I think that is not a design thing. Ian didn't sit down and say, oh, let's make this. But that's what's happened.
It's actually a default thing. It's a little bit of glorious serendipity. But and this is the first time, by the way, we're actually discussing it. I mean, this is, if you're looking for original whiskey content, you know, welcome. Here we are doing it.
Listen, I told everyone before we went live tonight, there's no scripting here. it's not that we didn't care. We didn't even consider it. Listen, I just want to raise a wee glass to my pal in Canada, Gino Camo, who's celebrating being a member of the Barflies for 75 months. Have a fantastic holiday and time with family, Roy. Listen, we did have an intention, to do a wee bit of a AMA, Ask Me Anything type thing, but I'm not sure that we're just gassing.
We're gassing away here. It's just
Stuart
fine, right? We've
Douglas
done this before.
Stuart is saying, did it get better or worse from the white cap to the finished bottle? I didn't try the white cap. I didn't try it. It's that time of the evening that is, yeah. I'm feeling them. A wee secret: I don't get pished on a vPub ever, and people know they can see the size of the glass that I pour, and what they don't see.
Big announcement pending, folks.
What they don't see off camera is that often these glasses are, when the credits roll at the end, these glasses are still often half full, and they never get finished. They end up down the sink because I never ever want.
We never in the Bothy. Nothing goes down the sink. We throw the whiskey at the walls. We are outperforming Richard Patterson. He's done and dusted. He's still flinging stuff in the carpet.
Well, I think
there's no carpet here. We fling it at the walls to help the mold grow. My
feeling right now is that I'm having beer. I'm having, I don't know how many drams we're on now. Normally I don't do a dirty glass. We're doing dirty glasses tonight, so we're breaking all the rules, but
it's fine.
When in Rome, as they say, and I'm in the Bothy tonight, so I'm feeling it, and you and I both agree neither of us like drunk.
Oh no,
we enjoy the feeling.
Strongly disapprove.
We enjoy the feeling of alcohol, but we are afraid of the feeling of pushing it too far. I'm not even close to that there. But I am suddenly becoming aware of it. I'm enjoying the beer. I'm very much enjoying the drams. I'm enjoying the chat. I'm enjoying hanging out with you, but I'm suddenly a wee bit.
The day Roy and I are recording a video in the studio and we suddenly and unexpectedly wet our pants is the day we realise we've gone too far.
Oh, that happened a long time ago now. never. It's Stuart, sorry, I could better or worse. And Danny is saying, well, I'm about to find out North Star still had some left. So is North Star selling it directly then? So
they've still got maybe about a dozen bottles left, yeah?
There's some left, okay. Whiskey 2525, I always forget who that is. Aquaviti, really enjoying this. End of season special. Spot on and going to see the great man in the Bothy, one for the ages. I have to say, coming over here and arrived at the airport and I walk out the thing in the...
You did not arrive at an airport.
The Stargate? The
Stargate, yes. Off the ferry.
Do you know why I'm saying the airport? Is because of the baggage carousel.
Yes.
And it was a boat that delivered me here.
Yeah.
And I saw Ralphie in the distance, and he's, because it didn't seem like it would be real. It didn't seem like it would be, but everything is real. Everything is real,
and everything's gone downhill since Roy's arrival. He has.
I ruin everything. Yeah.
Not at all. It's gone down because he's arrived at the Bothy and realised how humble and dishevelled, and it never gets dusted. It's like a dunnage warehouse, actually.
Are you talking about this being like a Wizard of Oz, man behind the curtains moment? It's not.
No, it's not. No,
because everything is real. Everything is a bit dreamlike because it's kind of what I imagined, but it's not what I imagined. The way the perspectives, the scale of things, the distance. I mean, I often thought there is not a Bothy. Basically, Ralphie is broadcasting from his old coal shed or something like that. But no, there's a Bothy.
Yeah,
there is a legitimate, real life, actual Bothy.
This is it, yeah.
And when you say it, right, I'm going out to pee in the stream. There is a stream. There is a stream. You don't pee in the stream. but there is all of these kind of little tongue-in-cheek things that have developed over the years. They're not completely invented out of thin air.
No.
There's a tangible thing. And that is, Ralphie, I don't know what I did to earn your trust.
Well,
but I'll never betray it.
You successfully applied the levers, and you have been fundamental in making the online Scotch Whisky Awards the dynamic, professional delivery it is. You've got the finger on the levers. I don't have any finger on any levers. I sit there and talk a bit when you're not talking a bit, or our winners are not talking a bit. The complexity of you bringing in the guests, the contributors, the other online content creators in and out with the vignettes, with all the rest of it. This is of a very high professional standard. And I really think that one of the way I could show my appreciation was invite you over, take you out for an ice cream on the beach, down at the seaside, show you the world's biggest water wheel where you could get splashed by it.
Wikipedia, Lady Isabella.
Yes.
On the Isle of Man.
And then take you to a beautifully intact, restored medieval castle, in which you have to watch your footing, or you'll fall down and fall through the roof into the grand banqueting suite chamber on the floor below, full of dungeons and full of kludgies and mannequins made of fiberglass that are blowing and farting and shouting.
Creepy bastard mannequins.
Creepy mannequins.
And I have to say, it made me realise how fortunate it is for us to be alive today.
In this moment in time,
as pessimistic and as grumpy and as red jacket as we become, doing the tours that we did.
And then went to a Viking castle elsewhere, a genuine 12th century Viking castle.
With longboats.
And we walked around the outside of the walls at the beautiful coastal crashing waves and emerald green water cascading gently onto a seashell shore.
It sounds a wee bit like you're making this up and over-egging and exaggerating, but you're not.
No.
The clarity of that water, if there was a shoal of fish there to be seen,
we
just see it. It was it was gorgeous. And because we're on the ramparts, it was castle ramparts, right? And looking down into the water, you could see just how clear. You could see right to the bottom of the sea. It was.
And then we drove up the road for fish and chips and mushy peas in a fish shop.
And that was very, very much needed sustenance at that point in time. I think the only thing I didn't manage to do, and I thought about asking about it, is Ralphie said, "Oh, the pub that I hang out and that I go down to is just down the road a wee bit. We should have nipped in for a half pint before we come up."
We can save that for later, because we have to remain of absolute sobriety, Roy, for presenting the last vPub of the season for folk who are anticipating professionalism, dedication, commitment, serious topics, and a host who is absolutely in charge of his consumption.
I am. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, because you've got a dram, you've got a finisher dram tonight. You're in the Bothy. There's going to be a finisher dram. You already know what it is because it's here in the Bothy.
Is it from this tube?
No comment.
Oh,
but yes.
You need to stay for this.
It is. This will be the last dram before the quiz.
Do you know the weep moments and the never meet your hero type things? Absolutely banished. Amazing to see, amazing to witness. Bruce Bernard is in. Good to see you, Bruce. Gino, thank you. Justin, thank you. Jimmy Legg, thank you. But Bruce Bernard is in, celebrating being a member for 53 months, saying, "Great on location vPub, slant you right back at you, Bruce." Thank you to everyone. Listen, as I've already admitted, I haven't, just because of how much cramming I've been doing on the run up to the end of the season, I haven't actually planned anything for the summer, and I often do, to see if anybody's willing to step up and take a Thursday slot over the course of the summer break. However, if that is possible, through Jim at Whiskey Novice, through Jeff at Jeff Whiskey, through any of the channels, through David at Drinks Whiskey, through so many more, then we will absolutely make sure that we tell you about that on our channels and things, so that it gives you a place to go on a Thursday evening over the course of summer. Right now, I have a plan to be back at the end of August for patrons, for a lock-in at the end of August. And it may be that I manage the first vPub of this new season back at the end of August, but I think the way it's looking now, just because of other things happening, it could be the first week in September. That gives me 7 weeks off, and it's been a few years since I've had a 7-week break. But, and you and I have been chatting about this, I'm looking forward to a bit of a break this year. I feel like that I will benefit from
absolutely
the balance
will benefit.
And the recharge.
Yeah, totally.
You're doing your rum thing. I'm taking a summer break. Do you think that it's critical to manage the consumption, manage the passion for it, the enthusiasm? If we were jaded, they would spot immediately.
Folk would spot immediately. I think what's important is that we actually set a living example of how we control our engagement and connectivity to what we review, so as to set a good example. And I think we do that because we talk about taking time out. We talk about occasionally that when we pour a dram and we put our nose to it and our nose just says, no, not today, not interested. We know to put a lid on it, put it aside, and take 3 or 4 days completely alcohol free, because we know it will help refresh our palates.
Listen to this, listen to your body, listen to whether you talk mindfulness, contemplation, balance, it doesn't matter how you describe it. If you're not enjoying it, take a step back.
Now, see this. This is one of my current projects for my Patreon subscribers.
You had my face in this last night, and I was terrified of this.
Right. That is the colour of ink. How does it smell?
I mean, it doesn't smell terrifying, but it doesn't smell great either.
Right. Now smell this. This is Bell's blended whiskey with a nail in it. And the colour has happened over 2 weeks as a direct result of the absorption of rust into the ethanol in the whiskey. It has completely sanitized the smell and the taste. If you ever come across a whiskey which is slightly green tinged, there is a risk, it may be an indicator, that a piece of steel, piece of metal, iron has gone into that whiskey and tainted it. This one, on the other hand, is the same bells, exactly the same, but when you nose it, it actually has a very intact profile, slightly subdued, but it's all bells. Of course, it's subdued. It's a generic consumer blend, but the nail in that is copper. And the question is, does the exposure of a small amount of copper metal in your bottle of whiskey actually enhance the delivery of the whiskey? I'm not making any claims here. I'm only asking.
I think there's obviously quite a difference between literally leaving copper contact in a spirit versus the production, the vapors interacting with copper and then condensing with copper or condensing with steel, depending on how it's going to be condensed. It's all going to be different. But that, to me, I mean, even from 100 yards, the visual impact there, the only difference between these two things is that there's a nail in that, and the nail in this is a copper nail.
Made of copper. So that's iron. Yeah. That's an iron finish, and that's a copper finish. A metallic copper finish. So how does it affect the flavour? I'm going to do an experiment shortly.
Have you tasted this?
I have tasted it, yes.
Is it rotten?
It's what happens is initially it starts to darken, and then you nose it, and the noses become a little bit flatter, but the color's changed, but some of the flavor's still there, but it's slightly shorthand, it's abbreviated. And then you come back the following week.
Sounds like you've just described a flat whiskey.
Yes, and it's completely flat whiskey. And the reason I mention it is because I once bought a barrel of a quarter cask of a blood cask of sherried whiskey from a distillery, and I was given a sample by post every year for about 4 years, and it started to turn green. And I suspected what it might be because I'd had a discussion in a pub in Partick in Glasgow with a retired cooper who mentioned it. Because see, the humble people that work in distilleries, never underestimate what these people actually know, because they get to know all the gossip. They're the people who see what's genuinely happening. And with this one, what we're doing is we're taking the essential copper contact of the fact that all Scotch whisky single malt pot stills are made of copper for a specific reason, because of the energetic properties of copper and the fact that they carry an electrical charge which will be influencing and which will be involved in the production of the original spirit. And this comes through, by the way, into the spirit safe, and you see it going into the glass bowl, and you see that green tinge, which literally is copper oxide. It's copper rust. That's what it is. It's what it really is. And the industry big that up. And I'm asking, do you know, if you actually add copper then, once the whiskey's matured, because it's so essential for actually making the raw spirit, but what if you were to actually add a piece of copper pipe into a cask of whiskey? Would it, because of the properties of copper, which are very positive in the creation of a spirit, actually enhance the maturation of the whiskey in that cask? I'm not making any claims here. I'm just asking. And nobody else is talking about it. This is totally original, authentic content.
That's why we're here.
That's why
As
we're
Danny
here.
Hebbington is talking about the Bothy Aquaviti. That's what a Bothy's meant to be. If it's tidy, it's not a Bothy. And he's spot on as well. Greg's Whiskey is saying, may I ask how many meters are separating Ralphie's house and the Bothy?
No.
Do you know, I would answer that, Greg, but because of the weird warped dimensions that I stepped through to get here, I have no concept of distance anymore.
It was dizzying.
Yeah. Bruce Bernard is saying, great on-location vPub Slanjava. I mentioned that, Bruce didn't earlier. Great to have you. And Alan Whiskey Friend is saying, lovely bit of bromance going on right here, fellas. Great watch. Off to bed now, fellas. You take care, Alan. I hope you're doing well, fella, and we'll see you soon. Stephen Toth is saying, Ralphie, an even better tour guide than Whiskey Guru. I had a great day today. Calm, peaceful, contemplative, beautiful weather, beautiful scenery. It was,
yeah, and me refusing to shut up.
Perfect. No, I don't think that's true.
No.
I think you were quite happy just to chill and take it all in. We were eating the fish and chips silently, the ice cream silently, you know, the ability to just relax. And we don't need to fill all the empty gaps with chitty-chat. We can just take it all in and drink it in and try and be mindful. I'll step through the Stargate tomorrow and I'll be transported back to Glasgow and everything will be back to normal again.
Aye, and then you'll be in for a shock.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes,
going back to the real world.
Cheers for a great vPub, Roy and Ralphie. Enjoyed listening to your insights. Going to give the quiz a miss and enjoy your break, Roy. Good night, all. Yes, but I hope you get back for the quiz tonight because it's a very, very specific, deliberate, special quiz tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, don't panic, Ralphie. Graham Fraser saying this is all the hallmarks of a 2 a.m. finish. Not a chance, Graham. Not a chance. That would have been a possibility had Ralphie and I not stayed up to 2 a.m. last night.
2 a.m., 4 a.m.
Oh, I wasn't going to tell the truth.
It was 4 a.m. We just arrived, poured a few drams, started chatting, and it just escalated.
It does. Listen, I've got a wee point of concern here because great to be tuning in live from Perth. Shout out to the community legend Glenn Duncan. we both know Glenn, who has been sidelined recently, wishing a speedy recovery. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in the Bonaccord, having a drink with Glenn. I am a wee bit concerned. I hope he's okay. Ian, if you can maybe send me a wee direct message to let me know what the story is with Glenn. Let's raise a wee glass to our pal Glenn and hope that he's finding health and recovery and whatever's going on.
Recovery.
Cheers, Ian. Cheers, Glenn. To your health. Dan DVW, I love how Ralph is in his geeky explanation mode again. Aquavita, this is actually interesting data, Roy. Don't zone out.
Yeah, the folks watching are watching you zone out, Roy, because you've been super saturated in the multi-dimensionality of the Stargate system.
But you gave me the presentation on those 2 glasses, those 2 jars last night.
Yeah, but not in front of the malt mates.
I know. I take your point. Thank you for keeping me right. P. Ed Frank is saying, came back for the quiz, so it better be lethal. Aquavita, whiskey with Molly. Ben is in. Good to see you, buddy. Justin Wan is saying, I'm going to skip the quiz, but we'll definitely pick it up on the replay. Fingers crossed for the pass mark. Justin, you're all the way out in Hong Kong, buddy. I appreciate that you were even able to hang out with us for a wee while tonight. Been so many hours ahead of us. Okay. Ralphie, you've been threatening a final dram. Is final dram going to fortify us for a very, very special quiz at the end?
Yes.
Not just a quiz at the end of the vPub, but a quiz at the end of the season. Yeah. And a quiz at the end of Roy's visit to the Bothy. A real Bothy.
But you need an empty glass, Roy. So
I can do that.
Okay, it's your responsibility. We jug of water down here behind the barrel. And I'll go over and source our final dram.
Did you?
Which will cause, I've rinsed mine, which will cause some jealousy, but it can be helped. This is why you have a stash. As and when affordable bottlings appear of particularly good whiskey, don't think twice. Buy the bottle, put it aside. Someday you'll open it, and importantly, it will become your defining malt moment of a malt situation, which is part of the journey of maltiness. There you have it. I don't need to add any more than that. I'm going to get the bottle, Roy. Oh, I'm feeling a big bit creaky here. I've been clambering about castles and stuck in dungeons today.
If the quiz about Ralphie, says Ben, I'm Goose, don't worry about it, buddy. You know how the quiz at the end goes. Stuart Dalglish is saying, if you say beam me up, Scotty, then disappear, I'll pee my pants. I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh,
terrific. That Ralphie uncorked this bottle for me last night.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes never meet your heroes. I said this last night. Because of the bottle, this... Oh, no. Come on.
Take your time. It's the final dram, Roy.
It's the final dram, Roy.
This is...
Never meet your heroes. This is a... Wow. We've still got some work to do on it, but that... you opened that last night.
Opened that last night, yeah.
Diageo special releases from 2010, 54.3%. Brora, I'm going to see if I check our feed here to see if that focuses. That's just Ralphie. I'm going to say
it's a finisher.
I'm going to say thank you at the end of the V. Before we close out tonight, I'll say a very sincere thank you. I'll try my best, but I want to say it now for anybody that's not staying for the quiz. I want to take the opportunity for them to witness your hospitality, your trust, your kindness, your thoughtfulness. You know how to look after folk.
Wait a minute. You omitted to say fabulousness.
Oh, yes. Fabulousness.
Thank you.
And hospitality.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't just buy one scoop of ice cream for Roy at the ice cream shop on the sandy, sun-drenched beach.
It's a mountain.
It was 2 scoops in a tub with a spoon, and Roy had vanilla and Turkish delight, and I had Turkish delight and lemon meringue.
I have to say, 2 scoops. makes it sound like it was 2 scoops, but it wasn't, because 1 scoop was 3 scoops. It was like 6 scoops. It was a mountain tub.
It was a mountain tub.
I sat there in the sunshine thinking, no way I'm getting through this. No way I'm getting through this. And then as I scraped the last bit off with a big smile on my face, a wee bit like last night when you cracked this open, and you did it early in the evening. This was not like a 4 a.m. silly thing where you went off and got the 30 year.
No.
This was early in the evening when our palates were at a point where we could assess this and we could be contemplative about this. And we fell silent for a wee minute in reverence.
And we fell silent for a little minute because it's one of these bottles we have in our stash, which is an ambassador for a moment in time in whiskey's history. And it's one of these residual casks, which the bottler eventually got round to bottling. And the price was still accessible. But it's the sort of bottle I wouldn't just open for anybody visiting. It's the sort of bottle you would keep for someone whose palate is experienced and developed enough that they're actually going to appreciate the experience that it delivers. And this is why I opened it. And now that it's opened, I have an open bottle of Brora, which will last me, 10, 15 years? I might not have another dram out that bottle for 2 years. It doesn't matter. I could put in some neutral gas, nitrogen, argon gas. I could put a little bit of tape around the top of the bottle. But this is the bottle that will go into the stash of stashes, the grade A listed 5-star stashes, along with the Rare Malt Selection St. Magdalene's and the...
AKA the treat cabinet.
The treat cabinet, the 1966 Glenburgies and all the rest of it. And it will be... there, not only there as a bottle of whiskey, but of decades and decades of constant engagement in just developing the palate to actually really appreciate this. And I sometimes wonder, Roy, somewhere over in Korea, South Korea or Taiwan or in China or in anywhere in the world at all, there's rich people come along to an event in a 5-star hotel, and they're getting 50-year-old Macallan or 40-year-old Benromach or something like that. And I've seen this in master classes, and you've seen it too. A 30-year-old Lafroig, and people have taken the glasses, shaky, 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 sip, 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 and then you're holding your glass and you're just giving it the space and time to deliver what you know it's capable of. But that time doesn't happen in seconds. It needs minutes. And the amount of lazy, indifferent, posturing whiskey experts out there who attend a masterclass and have downed and finished and they're over their whiskey in 15 minutes of 30 or 40-year-old whatever. It's ridiculous. And yet they're shameless. And all they want is the bling bragging rights of saying, I was there, I tasted this whiskey, oh, it was magnificent. Or what was magnificent about it? Don't ask me that question. It was just wonderful. And I had another 30-year-old this and a 25-year-old that. And see the amount of shameless snobbery that you will find in the whiskey scene, by the way, from what are usually decent people. But once they've had a skinful, oh my goodness, it comes to the surface. I know I'm ranting, but hey, you're in the Bothy, get over it. I'll be finished soon. And I'll observe this, and you observe it quietly, and you say, oh, for goodness sake, people, slow right down. You will never fully appreciate a whiskey unless you give it the space and time and the dimensionality to actually emotionally and subconsciously engage with it. And that can take hours. Rant over.
Desperate to have a sip of this, but I've been waiting until you're ready as well.
Right, yeah, we're not quite there yet.
I must
hold on a bit. I'm just teasing. On you go.
No, but this is...
There's a quiz coming up.
This is we're going to sip at the same time. What my takeaway from everything you've just said is, for you to have poured me a second one tonight, I must have passed the test last night.
No.
Okay.
No, it's just the bottle's open now. It's too late. It's too late to reseal it.
May as well waste it.
Absolutely.
Ralphie, thank you.
Let's stick it up in the shelf here somewhere.
Let's put it out of arm's reach. Right?
Stick it in front of the.
Look, it's like a triple. There we go. A triple, super generous.
I tell you, this is a. By the way, this is an oak bookcase. It can take the weight. I'll show you this. This is Glen Mist whiskey liqueur. Does that look like the general original?
Oh my goodness!
What a fake!
That looks like the patina.
Yeah.
Of the environment that we've been broadcasting from this evening.
Yes, it looks like that is totally fake.
The whole thing is fake.
The whole thing is fake. I bought it in a whim in the 27th auction, rightio, in 2012, and it remains here as the most undisclosed, inauthenticated whiskey feature in the Bothy. It's got the pipers, and it's from Hector MacDonald with an MAC, you know, MacDonald, not MacDonald. And it's whiskey liqueur, and it's a liqueur of exquisite flavour, compounded no less, from Special Reserve Whiskey by Savemo Limited, London. How unlikely is that? And look at the back label. Look at the state of that. What an old, ubiquitous crock. Someday I'll open that for laughs.
I think it's genuine. I think it's real.
I think it's genuine. Okay, could be.
Okay, listen, the first thing I'm going to do is
there we go.
Is the manifestation of your hospitality. The size of this pour.
Right, Jill.
The provenance, the whiskey that you've just poured me.
Yeah.
Jimmy Legg was asking about the vintage here. It's a 30-year-old Brora. There's no vintage on it. So 7980 is going to be the 2010 bottling is going to be the youngest vintage in it. 30-year-old.
And when I visit you, Roy, I want to get something even better.
Oh. But these are subjective concepts. So I can achieve that.
Yeah.
Ralphie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. I think it's going quite well tonight. Oh, what is it about this?
Perfume. There's a perfume, there's a bouquet to this. There's an effervescence, there's a fizz. I said last night, and I'll say it again, I can't tell if that's farmyard or outdoor or gorse flower or all of the when we talk about complexity and somebody says, what do you mean complexity? What do you mean it's complex? When complexity shows itself, you don't know where to start describing it. It's like all of these things come at the same time. And we're sipping Brora, but if you poured that for me blind, I might not pick out that it was Brora, but I would pick out that it is an absolute belter.
It's a belter.
Of a single malt whiskey.
Yeah. I get aromatic tannins.
I get no tannins. I get nothing tannic whatsoever. I do get fruit. I get flowers. I get an outdoor quality. A fresh linen is one I love.
It's not particularly complex. It's just super subtle, sophisticated, ambiently aged whiskey of no particular age, which has got a certain vitality to it, and it has almost lychee. There's lychee, orange blossom. There is touches.
So the orange blossom, I'm going to give you, nailed it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lychee, I think the fruit here is, I'm drawn to more of a kind of stone fruit apricot thing. Again, a slightly underripe stone fruit. I mean, we don't need to find all the. You say it's not complex. I think the complexity there is see drop by drop by drop of water, and it's going to switch and switch and switch and switch.
It's one of those. It absolutely would. It's not actually typical of Brora. Brora was always a far more chameleon whiskey.
Are you getting any peat?
In the distance, it's very much weathered peat. The phenolic has really broken down.
None. There's probably peat in this because it's Brora. Late 70s Brora. Okay, less peat than early 70s Brora, but there's probably peat in this. But I am getting nothing. This is a floral, outdoor, fizzy, slightly effervescent, fruit forward, spirit forward after 30 years.
Yeah. After 30 years, it's remarkable. I'm also getting rosehip, as in drambuie.
So you're getting that kind of. So yeah, it's 2 a.m. approaching, says Graham Fraser. We're being reminded 54.3% ABV. What does that say, Ralphie? Is it?
It's
the ABV.
54.3%.
There you go.
ABV.
You're spot on. That's the one.
Right. Okay. Now I'm just going to give you the bottling code in the back here. The bottling code is L0119L5088 by the looks of it. And the second line reads 00006375. It's kind of a little bit of almost invisible black ink down at the bottom there of the actual batch of this.
I suspect that it would have been a single batch, so
yeah,
all done. Al Rain is saying, Ralphie, you should do a raffle for charity for a PayPal or Barfly to spend a Pat Pal, I guess he's mentioning there, or an evening with Ralphie in the Bothy. Ralphie had to spend years conditioning me in order for me to be robust enough to survive the Stargate. I think that's the truth of it, and no amount of PayPal, Pat Pal, Barfly donations.
Some things just can't happen.
Danny Hebbington is saying, I think this has been great for both of you. I hope you pair make this an annual pilgrimage. I don't know how long it's going to take me to regenerate after I go through the Stargate on the way home, but that's probably going to dictate the return. I think the peat may appear around question 8, says Jimmy. It's not that far from some farmy Port Charlotte profiles, right? A bit older, for instance, I call my PC16 bottle a mini Brora. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. And it's
Port Charlotte 16. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see the feasibility of that, although I've not had a Port Charlotte that old yet. But Port Charlotte is such a staple. It's such a dependable 10-year-old.
Have you tried the Port Charlotte 18 official bottling?
No.
It's too dear. It's too dear.
Well, there you go. You've answered the question. Too
Ralphie,
dear. End of.
It's a face melter. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
Anyway, I didn't buy a bottle either. Ralphie, with your permission,
quiz.
I would like to do a quiz at the end, but I would like to do a quiz at the end that is a wee bit of an homage to you, an homage to your channel, an homage to 17 years of all the off-the-wall, ranting, grumpy red jacket years.
That too, yeah.
But all the kind of regular punter, sitting enjoying whiskey encouragement that you've given us over the years, not to take it too seriously, to play with our whiskies, to always be on guard, always to be aware, not to just consume, but to be mindful.
What do you mean not just to consume? I'm having another beer.
But you're having a good beer. You're having. I've still got my other beer.
There's still beer, right? So. Well, I'm on to the American IPA Mosaic.
Well, I had one of those last night. It was
right,
very tasty.
It's very tasty.
Yeah, it's very tasty. Anyway,
here's
with your permission, may I do a very, very special quiz at the end?
Yeah, so long as it's a little bit abusive.
No, but this is a Ralphie indulgent quiz that if you get 10 out of 10, I would be shocked.
Right, too.
So here's what we need to do. Tonight it's a Ralphie Indulgent quiz. For the end of the season, we don't need to get 10 out of 10 tonight, but we should try to match or surpass Ralphie. The questions are designed for you not to get 10 out of 10 on your own questions about your channel.
Now, just to let you know, Roy, I have my pad and a marker because you've got to write it's multiple choice, as you can imagine. So I've got to be able to, rather than just bluff it, I've got to kind of show my response so everybody can see it. So that I am, yeah, absolutely. It's more entertaining that way.
Good luck, everyone. Anyone that's staying till the quiz at the end, thank you very, very much for your indulgence. Thank you for the people who they gave up watching the football tonight to maybe hang out with us, or the people that have watched the football and then joined us afterwards. Also, thank you. For anybody that's still here for the quiz at the end tonight, thank you. Good luck, fella.
Oh, good luck. Yeah,
let's very best.
Oh, clink. Yeah.
Cheers.
I've actually put quite a bit of water in, and do you know what? I'm getting mist. I am actually getting a little bit of Scotch mist. All credit to Diageo that they've actually possibly took a few filters out the machine.
They don't screw everything up, right? We'll all be following Ralphie's answers in the quiz Aquavite. In that case, we will leave it till the end. Good luck, everyone. This is the quiz at the end of the season and the quiz at the end of tonight's from the Bothy vPub. And we have the Ralphie emoji, the vPub on location for the 9th of July. Question 1. Which of these single malts has Ralphie reviewed 3 times or more?
All right, Joe.
Going to give you a choice of 3 single malts. I want you to pick what Ralphie has reviewed 3 times over the 17 years or more.
I'll never remember that.
A, Talisker 10-year-old. B, Johnny Walker Green 15-year-old. Or C, Bunnahabhain 12-year-old. By that I mean official Bunnahabhain 12-year-olds.
Oh, I think.
Oh, keep it to yourself.
I'm keeping it to myself, Roy, but I think that I have a good idea what the answer is, actually. Because...
Good.
Do you know, okay, I'm not saying anything more. I'm just going to
You're just going to commit?
I'm just going to commit, actually, yes.
You can write down the letter there.
Right.
And we can see that most of the folk are answering already. And what's really interesting about tonight is that your answers aren't appearing automatically. I've got to scroll because we're all working from one screen tonight, which is a whole new thing for me. Or the people who skipped baseball to be here, says Rick Johnson. There must be a baseball gig going on tonight. Sorry for the ignorance. This is splitting the crowd. We've got some people saying A, some people saying C. Donnerpass Whiskey Tim is going all out saying A, B, and C, whereas Donnerpass Whiskey has started saying A and C. Okay, after 3, 2, 1, Ralphie.
C.
You think Bunnahabhain 12-year-old?
Yes.
I can tell you that the answer is all 3.
All right.
Nobody at the quiz at the end of the season, the quiz at the end of the Bothy, nobody's gone home with a donut.
I have not reviewed Talisker 10 3 times or more, surely.
You have, sir.
Have I?
Yes.
But I'm different. There'll be Distiller's edition.
Well.
Right.
So
it's not the standard 10-year-old.
I tell you what we'll do here.
In fact, I recently reviewed a vintage 1998 distilled, which was just a beautiful cask, by the way. It was a Palo Cortado cask.
Some wonderful controversy here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in the whiskey Bothy. That would be correct, right? Talisker 10. And I'll just punch this in here. Here we've got Talisker 10 2023.
Yeah.
Scroll down a bit.
Yeah.
Talisker 10. Oh, wait, we just don't want to talk about that, maybe.
Right.
Talisker 10 reviewed 2013. So there's 3 already.
There's 3 already.
And then we're going down to number 4, Talisker 10
and it's
re-reviewed.
Yeah.
And that's not a distiller's. So that's 4.
That's 4, yeah.
So, okay, do you accept that you have reviewed Talisker 10?
Yes, I accept.
At least 3 times or more?
I do, yeah.
I did the research. But the thing here, nobody's getting a donut. Everybody's getting a freebie. There's no banana skin on this one. However, from here on in, pull your socks up. Question 2. In the early years of Ralphie, he took us on tour to visit which of the following distilleries?
Oh,
I need you to hold your water, sir.
I'm holding my pish.
A, Glengyle. B, Glengoyne. C, Glendronach. In the early years of Ralphie, he took us on tour to visit which of the following distilleries? A, Glengyle, B, Glengoyne, or C, Glendronach. I think what's going to be hilarious about this is I am going to ask questions that proves that Ralphie, if his memory is anything like mine, has forgotten the things that he might have done in the early years.
It does happen, but I have vivid memories of the first distillery I visited and created 7 videos of that visit.
Gladnock? No.
Oh, come on! It's a quiz question. I can't give you the spoilers.
Okay.
But I've got the answer for this. I'm confident about it. I remember it because there was one of the guys at that particular distillery who, lovely chap, practical worker, been there for 34 years, and we just clicked. And he gave me the tour, and it's a very photogenic and very visual distillery. But they all are, aren't they?
I know the one you're talking about. Hold. Daisy in the Netherlands has just pointed out me screwing up the first question because I asked which of these single malts. B was Johnny Walker Green Label, which was a blended malt.
That's a very good point.
The rules of the quiz at the end is that means that everybody can claim it as a freebie. I got the question wrong, but you all had it as a freebie anyway. But here's a wee glass of Brora raised to Daisy for her remarkable attention.
Well spotted, Daisy. You caught him snoring, slumbering and sleeping, and you have exposed it. And we find it highly entertaining. Thank you.
I find it entertaining too. Okay, after
Glendronach, Glengyle. Did I record something in there?
Yes.
Really?
Because my first one, the interview at Glengyle, they were only a few years in production at the time, was a fella that doesn't work there anymore. I forget his name. It's an interview job. And
Peter Curry.
Yes, that's the fella.
Peter Curry. And because the first distillery I visited was Springbank, period, in September 2010.
Wow. That might come up in a question.
Uh-oh.
It might not.
Might not.
Okay, everyone, question 3. What did Ralphie do to mark 1,000 whiskey reviews on YouTube?
Did a few things, actually.
A, he took a walk on a beach. B, he visited a Springbank. That should be he visited Springbank. Or C, he released the 3rd book of a trilogy. What did Ralphie do to mark 1,000 whiskey reviews on YouTube? 2 out of 2. Phew, got it, says Steve Atkins. Good to see you in, Steve. Good to see Lachlan McKenzie in as well. Fantastic, buddy. Wonderful to have you here, otherwise known as Scott Chio on the Ralphie Moderators Discord. No? Scott Chio? Oh, sorry. Jimmy Leg is saying, which whiskey review did he not give a mark to the whiskey reviewed? Oh, there's a question. Did you forget to score a whiskey?
I have forgotten to score a whiskey, yeah, because of all the excitement, yeah. That's happened.
Was it a good whiskey that you forgot to score?
Do you know, I have no idea, because it's all become, to be honest, Roy, it all becomes eventually a bit of a blur.
It's not just about the amount of reviews that you do, it's about the age that you are as you cover the reviews.
It is. It's about just how much you remember you've forgotten.
DVDW saying, Aquavita, I've really enjoyed the mini-series. He's talking about the distillery visits, maybe, I think.
Mini-series. Well, I mean, there's been a number of mini-series and different things and different topics.
Yeah.
I just find what really works is something that just completely is.
Do you want to take a beat here?
Take a what?
A beat, a breath.
Why?
1,000 reviews.
No. No, I don't.
I think maybe there's a chance that everyone could be getting a freebie here.
Really?
Yeah, because I think I might have made a mistake here.
Oh, Roy, no. This is what happens when you don't involve Menno to supervise and overview
Come
things.
back, Menno. Come back, Menno. It's been a while since we've done a Menno quiz. We need the boy back. Okay, Ralphie, for his 1,000 whiskey reviews. 3, 2, 1.
I took a walk on a beach.
He visited Springbank.
I did what?
You went back to 500 reviews. You took a walk on a beach and you took us down. Silence. You just scanned the camera around as you walked along the beach. The wind, you hardly said anything.
That was the Lefroy one, wasn't it? Oh, jeez.
500 for 1,000 reviews. You went to Springbank.
So I did.
You went back to Springbank.
I went back to Springbank and did a kind of 3-part recording there.
Yeah.
Including the warehouse tour, where Dave Allen, their publicity person, just handed me some 30-year-old Springbank, and I'm nosing it and going, oh my goodness, where do I start with this? Do you know, I'd even forgotten about that.
But you remember walking on the beach. What's the crazy thing about that is the walking on the beach was your 500 reviews.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
And I watched that the moment it dropped. That was back when I was at peak watching Ralphie, I would say. A timer in my hand. I wasn't making content, I was consuming content.
And due to the Stargate system, you were on that very same beach this morning.
Is that the beach?
That's the beach.
Oh, so the beach at the intro of the video this evening was that beach?
That beach.
Question 4. Ralphie is already at 1 down, so you've all got a chance here. Which of these ghost still closed and revived distilleries features as one of Ralphie's first 10 video reviews? I'm going back into the archives here. One of your first 10 has and you specifically refer to it as a ghost still. A, Port Ellen. B, Brora. C, Imperial. Port Ellen, Brora, or Imperial in Ralphie's first 10 reviews. 2 beers is 1 too many beers. I've only had 1 beer. And I know Jimmy's talking out of his backside because I've witnessed Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. Backside, talking out of, get over it, move on. You've been rumbled.
Guinness, Jimmy. On the train back from Alexandria to Glasgow, we stopped in at a pub to have 1 beer. And Jimmy showed me how much beer a 1 beer can be.
Yes.
Eric Waite, Eric, how are you, my friend? You superstar. He's bought us a Dram Roy and Ralphie. It's 15 degrees here and misty in Half Moon Bay, California today. Oh, wow. I couldn't make it to Scotland.
I've been to Half Moon Bay. I was in Half Moon Bay for the annual Pumpkin Festival.
Oh, wow.
Yes, many years ago, I hired a Pontiac, a red Pontiac in Los Angeles, and I took that car up the Pacific Coast Highway through Santa Barbara in Big Sur and headed up to San Francisco, and I stopped off at Half Moon Bay and I stayed at one of the motels there, and I spent an afternoon going around the Pumpkin Festival, having pumpkin pie, pumpkin ice cream, and pumpkin beer.
Eric, I hope...
What a small world.
Yeah, I hope the reason that you are in Half Moon Bay and not in Scotland is not an inconvenient thing or a poor thing. Eric, thinking about you, big guy. Hope you're all right.
Yeah.
Cheers, Eric Waite.
I tell you what, seeing Half Moon Bay, lovely people, authentic and genuine. I really enjoyed that so much.
You need to commit.
Oh damn.
First 10.
First 10 reviews.
Port Ellen, Brora, Imperial.
I haven't a clue. You've got a banana skin there.
It's because it's difficult.
It is difficult. And I mean, in the first 10?
Mm-hmm. Amongst which was Glenora. You had a
Glenora from Glenbritton Distillery.
Talisker 10. You had an Aberlour Buna.
I had, yes.
And either a Port Ellen, a Brora, or an Imperial.
It wouldn't be an Imperial.
So you're now in a 50-50.
I'm now in a 50-50. Port Ellen or Brora. Back in the early days. Oh my goodness.
Throw a dart. Ralphie has committed to Port Ellen.
I have. A.
Absolutely correct.
Oh, thank goodness.
You reviewed a Port Ellen, I think from memory, a 25-year-old Port Ellen in one of your, and you talked about the whole concept of Ghost Distillery, talked about Port Ellen, what it was, all of that stuff way back in the early days. Rick Johnson has bought us a dram to say that's $5 just to hear Ralphie say red.
Red.
I think Rick Johnson's enjoying the speech patterns and the pronunciation this evening. Thank you, my friend. I hope Catherine's doing very well as well. Cheers, Rick. Thank you for the dram. Picture question, Ralphie. Is it going to be Ralphie themed? Of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
Question 5. We have 3 brandings of the same product from Tomatin. This
we do.
Specifically is Tomatin Legacy. So we've got the original one that was up until about 2012. Then we've got the kind of more modern one that up until very recently, 2025, 2026, and then the absolute newest one. And I'm going to give you 3 options, but this is a small ass.
I remember that was a good whiskey.
Careful. The 3 options I'm going to give you is not, is this Tomatin Legacy? I'm going to ask you, has Ralphie never reviewed this whiskey? Or has Ralphie reviewed it only once and he scored it an 89?
A good mark.
Or was it he reviewed it 3 times? Tomatin Legacy.
I've already made my decision. I'm sticking to it. I remember that whiskey. I remember that moment. I was so impressed. I didn't expect to be. But did I ever review it? Maybe I never did. Maybe it's my imagination.
I love it. Bear in mind, the biggest thing about
which
this
of the 3 do I remember the best?
the lower you score, the better a night the folk watching.
Of course they do, yeah, because they can
match
revel
or beat your own theme.
Absolutely, they can revel in my incompetence in my own timeline.
It's the point of the quiz at the end.
Right.
That's why we invite Menno on, so that I can take a pasting as well. I have never scored a 10 out of 10 on my own quiz. Never.
Right, so, okay.
Ralphie, Tomatin Legacy. I'm glad you like it, because this whiskey knocked it out of the park on multiple blind challenges over the years.
Knocked it out the park.
It took people by surprise, right, left and centre. I haven't tried it recently, but I perhaps should.
The discovery was wonderful.
A, Ralphie's never reviewed this. B, he reviewed it only once and he scored it an 89. Or C, he reviewed it 3 times. Ralphie, 3, 2, 1.
B. I absolutely even remember it to this day, reviewing that particular whiskey. The decades of the combination, what struck me was the beautifully integrated structure of whiskies from different ages.
Tomatin Decades is not Tomatin Legacy.
No, it's not, is it? Oh, damn.
This was back in the day where Ralphie did not review non-age statement whiskies.
Well, this is embarrassing.
Your protest, which you lifted during COVID, you decided because of the amount of new distilleries coming on, because of the concepts behind the non-age statement. Your original protest about the industry removing rage statements changed, and you never reviewed Tomatin Legacy.
I am humiliated.
No, you're not.
I am absolutely. Have I never reviewed that? I've reviewed Decades.
Decades, a different thing.
It's a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, for goodness
Legacy.
sake.
And in America, North America, Dwalcast. This is called
Honestly,
Dwalcast.
it's no wonder I take a drink.
So that's you 3 for 5.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's in good shape. Let's see how they're scoring.
Oh, folk will be way ahead of me.
Another dram coming in for our pal Eric, Aquaviti and Ralphie. I live just off the Pacific Coast Highway in Half Moon Bay. My bedroom overlooks the ocean. It's often like Isla here, minus the distilleries.
There was a smokery. I remember buying smoked salmon there and going to a local fish food restaurant. And I had to wait quite a while because there was one young lad, he was only 16, and he was rushing about dealing with all the orders. And I thought, I'm just going to sit here patiently. And right beside me was a fisherman. And he says, you know, I really admire your patience. And I says, no, there's a strategy here. I can have a second beer.
But Jimmy said...
Do you know, there's the same atmosphere in Half Moon Bay that I encountered in Key West down the Florida Keys.
Positive then.
It was indigenous, authentic, natural, non-corporate. When you visit the USA, you really want a non-corporate experience. This is why when I went to Bonneville in 2016, you saw the real America, not the Hollywood, not the corporations, not the grotesqueness of their interpretation of Americana. It's false. It's a false narrative. It's just a false everything.
I'm going to check the stream is still there.
The stream, yes. Okay. Well, watch you don't fall in. I suppose at this point, I just have to keep the show going. Okay. I'm just going to tell you a wee bit about... I've had several trips to the USA. But one of the, I'm fortunate to be a generation that's had the opportunity to really travel. And what really struck me was not going to other places, but coming back home and seeing things more as they really, really are. And it's the good, it's the positive, and the negative. And what struck me was that there's certain slightly bohemian and eccentric places, not over, certainly not politicized, but naturally bohemian areas that are a little bit fringe, a little bit non-mainstream. And I've always felt very comfortable there because I'm connecting not just with the people, but the actual physical environment. And one of my highlights of the Pacific Coast Highway trip was the joy of actually leaving Los Angeles, which is an atrocious metropolis. It is highly congested, and there are a lot of people, a lot of communities really buttressing up and bumping against each other in a way that you don't get in a small country like Scotland. I arrived in Santa Barbara, just up, and they had a magnificent boardwalk. And this is the point where you saw the confidence and the ambition of a traditional American culture, which, you know, warts and all, it is what it is. There are positives and there are negatives, and you kind of be aware of one and embrace the other. And the friendliness of the people after the abruptness of the people, say in LA, Los Angeles, the friendliness and openness of the people, knowing with experience that some are faking it, they're putting on their personas, and they're kind of lost to their originality. But side by side with them are really authentic people. I ended up in a brew house in Santa Barbara, and I had the loveliest evening, just a few beers, a lovely chat with complete strangers. They loved the accent. And this is, by the way, before whiskey, before I was into whiskey, but I'd never kind of become the feature it is now. But I ended up in San Francisco, and just standing under the Golden Gate Bridge. And I thought, well, this is something that I have a mental image of, but here it is for real. And San Francisco is one of these compact cities, very grid orientated, that you can literally walk your socks off and then still keep walking because of the signature and personality and the authenticity of what it was back then in the 1980s, early 1990s. And it's never kind of been lost to me. And I know I'm kind of bumping on a little bit of sentimentality here, but I feel I have a small smidgen of entitlement, seeing as the aquavit, the barflies have assembled for the first time ever in the Bothy through a Stargate for wherever it is, kind of wibbly wobbly kind of, flexible type stuff. And here you are, and we're just sharing the moment. And now we're going to move on to the next question. Hit us with that question, Roy, and I'll do my best.
Okay, everyone. Question 6. Sorry for my quick exit there. Roy's first YouTube video went out on the 17th of February in 2017. When did Ralphie's oldest video go out?
Oh, I should know that. I should know that.
A, the 16th of February, 2009. B, the 17th of February, 2010. C, the 18th of February, 2011. I didn't realise this until I was putting this quiz together. But my first video went out on the channel. Nothing planned, it's just pure. 17th of February in 2017. Coming up in, I suppose, 10 years I'll be in next year.
Have you not finished that Brora yet?
No, I'm enjoying it.
Proud of you. You've passed the test.
Thank you. It was the same last night. I kept it going for...
So when did
Ralphie's oldest video go out? 16th of February 2009, 17th of February 2010, 18th of February 2011.
I've only got about 4 Broras left. What am I going to do? How am I going to cope?
Do I get a prize for predicting a 2 a.m. finish, Roy? Nah, you're good. We'll be ahead of 2 a.m. Ralphie,
you've got an ass hat there. What's going on?
Well, it's a horrible question, isn't it?
That's not the date. The date. There's a Trixie going on here.
No. It's just, if you strip it down, you've gone for the 16th of February 2009.
I've gone for A.
You're absolutely right. This was not.
Yes.
This was all about the year. The fact that it was when one day of the date was just a wee distraction. So you're on 4 for 6. You're doing well. 16th of February 2009.
I'm smashing it.
Smashing it. Question 7.
Excuse me, Roy. Which whiskey did I review on that date?
I'll tell you, or maybe the quiz will.
Oh, right, okay.
Question 7. Spot the genuine book title, written and published by Ralphie.
It's got a banana skin.
A, Stories from a Whiskey Bothy. B, Stories from a Whiskey Bar. Or C, Stories from a Whiskey Bottle.
Come on, Roy, that's so... It's taken me seconds, literally 2 seconds, to put down my yeah. But it depends which edition. Because the first edition was Botha, not Bothy, because of a technicality that I couldn't get over when I was uploading.
I told you.
Wait a minute.
These are questions about your channel that you are likely to get wrong. The quiz at the end is full of ass-hattery and banana skins.
But that's not all. I realised where I've gone wrong here now.
Okay,
this
I'm
is
going to do
this is so embarrassing.
The genuine book title written and published by Ralphie. A, Stories from a Whiskey Bothy. B, Stories from a Whiskey Bar. Or C,
I've got it wrong.
I've got a whiskey bottle. Well, I've not revealed yet, so you have time to reconsider, like the quiz at the end.
Right, okay, well, thank goodness. Give me a second. Changed.
Okay. A, but why a banana skin, says Steve Atkiss. The answer is punch in the gut. B, Stories from a Whiskey Bar.
B.
Why did you answer A? Why is it not Stories from a Whiskey Bothy, Ralphie?
Because it's Search for a Whiskey Bothy was the first book.
And if I had not made a fuss,
I would have got that wrong.
You'd have banana skinned the hell out of that one.
I would, yeah. And everybody, all the barflies, would have spontaneously burst out laughing.
Unless they did the same thing, and they'd be raging at us. Steve Atkiss is saying, got it. Yeah, well done, Steve. Stuart Dalgleish is struggling for his pass mark tonight. Stuart, stay with it, buddy. There's still a couple of chances. Roddy's in. He's got his pass mark already, Roddy. It's nice to welcome you here. Where's Roy in at Norway? Also in a pass mark. Des needs a point for a pass mark. Lachlan McKenzie is already passed on a 6. But a 7 out of 7 from Graham Young. He's doing very, very well. Sugar Kitty. Jeff's on a 7 out of 7 along with Graham Fraser. Of course he is. And Dan, DVDW saying, oh shit, I fell for it. Oh, the banana skin. Question 8. In September of 2010, Ralphie shared his first ever review from the Bothy. Not his first ever review. His first ever review from the Bothy.
From here.
One of his favourite 12-year-olds, as quoted in the video. Which of these whiskies featured? I'm going back a long time. September 2010. Which of these whiskies featured? Was it from A, Speyburn, B, Knockdo, or C, Balblair?
Oh, good, jeez. I've forgotten.
Hello, Malty Mananans?
Mananans, right, because I just,
This was your first Isle of Man review.
Yeah.
You were sitting here, you had a cigar on the go.
Right, okay.
Come back 2010, that's 16 years ago.
Right, I'm going to go for it.
It's an awful, awful quiz at the end, but it's about...
Aye. I had in my mind that it was Bunnahabhain.
Oh.
See the cast strength Bunnahabhain annual release. At the moment, the quality is fabulous.
Recently it has been, yeah.
Fabulous.
The first year I wasn't convinced, but since then it's been amazing. Bruce Bernard is going for B, whereas Lassie, Jeff Byers, Des, good to see you all in. Jimmy Legg is saying it's B, trust me. Kyle Taylor is going for C. Simone is going for Jimmy's, B. One Glassman is going for B. Roddy Graham is also going for B. Jimmy Legg is doubling down. He's convinced it's B. Nicholas is saying B, 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 B. Lots of B's coming in now. Graham Fraser is going for B. Dan DVDW got to switch to B, says Gene Kelly.
Oh no. I don't have B. I don't have B. What am I going to do, Roy?
A, Speyburn, B, Knockdo, or C, Balblair. Are you going to stick or twist?
I'm going to stick and just lump it. I'm going to accept the humiliation here.
Well, you're currently on, that's you on a pass mark now.
You're
on 5 for 7. Okay, good. So there you go. 5 for 7 is the pass mark tonight. I can tell you that you reviewed Anok 12.
But you've called it Knockdo.
That's right.
And I've reviewed Knock Do Bottlings, 21-year-old. And Knock Do is not...
Diageo is Nakandu. Knock Do is Anok.
Knock Do is Anok. But
there you go.
It was Anok, 12-year-old.
First ever Bothy
review.
I
tell you what, I was a woolly jumper. That I was kept me warm.
Babyface, Ralphie. I think you've still got those specs though.
I've still got the Dalek.
Still got the Dalek. Yeah.
I've got the Ralphie.com with the. I got all the from the local hardware store. Here it is. Here's the latest version, and it's actually from the same strip as the original one, which of course all wore out and got kind of tainted.
But you need it taped to the front.
But the tape fell off because of the rust.
Oh,
of course you've got all the wee slaters stuck to the insects stuck to the back of it. I thought, oh, that's a bit disgusting. We're going to get rid of that. So I got that wrong.
There you go.
I tell you what, Mark, mates, you're way ahead of me now. And they've reintroduced and made available the 18-year-old Anok, by the way. Out of the blue, no announcement, no nothing.
16.
18. The 18-year-old is now available again.
18?
18.
Not the 16?
Not the 16.
Because the 16 came back at 43%.
Yeah, came back at 43%, and it got a very cool reception. And then they brought out 18 at 46%.
Is it back?
Yeah.
I missed it. I missed that news. I missed that
but
news.
Don't worry. You got some Brora 30-year-old instead. So you're going to get over it.
Well, that seems like a reasonable deal. Question 9. Which of these video titles does not appear under a Ralphie video? A. Whiskey Review 1. B. Whiskey Review 5. Or C. Ralphie Review 1130 Extras. Which of these video titles does not appear under a Ralphie video?
Look at the banana skin. Oh,
these are good questions. I'm asking you questions on your own channel that are challenging even for you, right?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty clueless because it's all just kind of faded into
it's just all in the distant memories.
Well, it's all in the distant forgetfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I actually can't keep up with Marie reviews until subscribers and pals point out, Ralphie, you've already reviewed that. Is this a new batch of the same bottle? Because you bought 2 bottles at the time and you've just forgot you had it in your stash. Sometimes it happens, Roy. It's just the way it goes.
It's fine, isn't it? Tim Doropass Whiskey is saying, wow, I'm still butthurt over an Anok rebranding. We'll have to seek out the 18. I'll have to seek out the details on that. I've not even heard that they did that. Quite amazing. Bobby K in New York City has sent out 5 Aquavite gift memberships. You superstar. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for being generous, looking after everyone else. That means a lot, buddy. Ralphie, what are you going for here?
I don't know.
Take a beat. Which of these video titles does not appear under a Ralphie video? Whiskey Review 1, Whiskey Review 5, or Ralphie Reviews 1130 Extras. The chat is saying, it's all over the place.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Wow.
Oh, this is good. It's a tricksy one, isn't it?
Well, that's why it's question 9. They get harder and harder and harder and harder, right? So it makes sense that it would split it. A low C is a lock-in, says Steve Atkins. Sundre AB is going for B. Preston W is going for C, but Bruce is going for A. Simone is saying change to A. It's all over the place here. I can tell you there has been some confusion over the years. Whiskey Review 1 disappeared. Whiskey Review 2 became... Oh, so you need to commit. Sorry, you need to commit.
Right. But there again, Whiskey Review 1, I remember it well because it wasn't the first video I recorded. Because once I recorded the video, I realised I want to start with a Scotch whiskey, and I reviewed Talisker 10-year-old as review number 1. Although it wasn't the first review recorded.
It wasn't released first.
It wasn't released first because I bought a bottle.
So then you got yourselves tangled up. and some renaming shenanigans to rename so it would make sense to people watching. And now you're sitting here, Brora 30'd up like me. And amongst the shenanigans,
I'm going to do something really controversial here for my answer.
You don't know, so you're just taking a bullet on it. I understand.
I'm actually declaring I do not know.
I'll tell you that your first ever video chronologically was Glen Breton, which was video 2.
I was video 2.
What Talisker 10 then got renamed to video Whiskey Review 1.
Yes.
So that exists. Ralphie Review 1130 Extras exists, and it was very recent.
Yes.
But Whiskey Review 5 is lost to the mists of time. We have no idea what Whiskey Review 5 is.
You what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened to Whiskey Review number 5?
Let's go to the Whiskey Bothy. Let's click on videos. Let's click on oldest. So here we have Review 2, Glen Breton. Review 3 is Aberlour-Abuna.
Yeah.
Talisker 10 is 1. Whiskey Review 4 is Port Ellen 25, as mentioned earlier. 6 is Whiskey Books. 7 is Whiskey Glasses. 9 is Caramel E150. 10 is Chill Filtration, and it goes on chronologically from there. But Whiskey Review 5.
Whiskey Review 5 doesn't it?
Has been lost.
But Whiskey Review 5 would have been created and then removed.
There you go.
Absolutely, it would have been reviewed. I have no idea why. I've no clue. I've just had to put a question mark.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant.
I've no idea.
The mystique is it lost in the Stargate, Ralphie. In the transition, some corruption happened as you moved from Glasgow through the Stargate to the Isle of Man.
I didn't move till later. I had at least 20 to 30 reviews in the Art Nouveau room, the arts and crafts room, before I moved to the Bothy. The Bothy move happened fairly early on in the channel's life, and it's never changed since. I mean, that's, over 15 years here.
It's not something you need to care about.
And do you know what the irony is? I keep every single video that I ever make on backup, so I can find out what it was.
The missing video number 5.
Missing video number 5, and I can find out possibly why. Why would I?
Brilliant.
What would happen? I've no clue.
Brilliant.
Here we go.
Superb. And now, as if it's not enough, by the way, you're on 5 for 9. So the pass mark so far is 5 for 9, and we're left.
So I'm about to fail
with a mere ass hat. No, you've passed already. You're safe. We join you from the Isle of Man. But how many Man distilleries are operational in Scotland? That means a name of a distillery, malt distillery in Scotland, currently operational with Man in the name. Okay?
Right, okay.
How many Man distilleries are operational in Scotland? About the same as the number of A, distilleries beginning with the letter E.
Is this the last question, by the way?
It's the last question.
Right, because it's a nightmare.
This is the asshat. B, about the same as the number of active malt distilleries on Orkney. Or is it C, about the same as the number of years of age stated on the final Thompson Brothers TBBSW release? How many Man distilleries are there? You're welcome to shout them out if any appear in your head.
Kilchoman.
Oh, good shout.
Have you not included that? You've not included that. Kilchoman. Another one, Manachmore.
Oh, peach. Good call.
Another one.
Eric is saying Kilchoman, for example. Lachlan Mackenzie's reaching Tom and towel.
Well, it's absolutely right.
It's Tom in towel.
It's Tom in towel, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good try, Lachlan. I like the way you think, buddy. How many man? Do you see what I've done there with the Isle of Man thing? Come on,
yeah, I do see. It's a good one. Yeah.
How many man distilleries are there?
Well, I've got two. I'm trying to think of a third, and I'm struggling.
Ian Bruce is going for A. Beamer. That used to be Boomer, I think. Beamer. Good to see, buddy. A. Simone. A. Ian Bruce, Simone, Boomer. Come on. Okay, there's a couple of drams I've missed here. Graham Young has bought us a dram. Getting to be a late one. Hope a great rest and vacation, but minutes away. Enjoy your time off and all the best for the summer. Graham, you're a superstar, buddy. Thank you very much for the generous dram as always. All the best to you, to Claudette, to the entire clan. Nice to have you in. Alrain has bought us a wee dram as well to say perfect end of season vPub Roy, living his best life in the Bothy with a legend. Thank you both for the entertainment, whiskey knowledge and community. Thanks, Alrain. Right back at you. Thanks to you and thanks to Graham. Wonderful to raise a wee glass and Brora 30 to thank you. All right, it's all down to the man. It's all down to what he is going to answer for the man question. What are we going for, Ralphie?
I've got to plunge for it because this is a real shot in the dark.
Let me help you.
A.
Let me help you. Distilleries beginning with the letter E is 2. Edgedour and Eden Mill.
Yeah.
B. Active malt distilleries on Orkney is 4.
Yeah.
Years of age stated on the final Thompson Brothers release is 9 years old.
It is.
So you're going for A because you found Kilchoman
and Manachmore. Is there anything else with MAN in it?
You got them all.
A. I'm going A. I'm writing down A.
Yeah, I know. You got them all.
Have I?
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
ticky.
Ticky.
Got it. I got it right. Oh, hooray.
All the man distilleries, Kilchoman and Manachmore. Well done. Well done for picking them out. So it remains to ask, did anybody scrape a 10 out of 10? Ralphie managed a 6 out of 10 this evening. So
I'm happy with that, by the way.
To celebrate the quiz at the end of the season is to get a 6 or better. Let's see who's done that. It's A, says Sugar Kitty. Jeff, you're a superstar. Peter Finnegan also said for A. Gene Kelly saying okay A. And where's Roy Overmeren in Norway? Went for B, but Lassie scored an 8 out of 10. Boomer got a 9 out of 10. Kyle Taylor got an 8 out of 10. Nicholas got a 7 out of 10. One Glass went 7 out of 10. This is the people getting better than you. This is why we're here. Why
it was going to happen. It was going to happen.
Jeffrey Bangers, well done. Dorpass Whiskey 8 out of 10. Pedro in Brazil 7. Rick Johnson got a 6 as well. Matched Ralphie. Rick, that's a pass. Whiskey Guide. Greg's Whiskey Guide got a 6 as well. I need to scroll back up because it jumped. Bruce got a 7. Jimmy Light got an 8. Dan got a 9. I'm looking for the 10s. Stuart Douglas just saying failed. You never fail, Stuart. You never fail. Daisy got a 9 out of 10. She almost got a 10 on one of the most. Graham Young is saying, well, sir, 10 out of 10. Is Graham Young celebrating a 10 out of 10? Graham Fraser celebrating a 10 out of 10, of course. The man's got an encyclopedic brain. I don't know how to catch the man out. Graham Young is celebrating a 10 out of 10. One Glassman Warner in Florida is beating you, a 7 out of 10. Fantastic. Stuart Douglas, detention for the summer for me. Stuart, not a jot of it. Thank you for joining us in and participating and playing honestly, buddy. Well done with your 4 out of 10.
By the way, just to let you know, I passed 2.
Ralphie's he's sitting there relieved. Jeff, Sugar Kitty, also celebrating a 10 out of 10 as well. Fantastic. Congrats to the 10 out of 10, says Daisy in the Netherlands. Amazing vPub back with VT and Ralphie. Thank you for sharing these amazing moments with us. It means so much to me. It means so much to me for everything that's been afforded to me over the years that I've been doing this content on YouTube. But the idea that I would be one day watching it from the outside and then find myself sitting in the Bothy with you and you'd cracked open a Brora 30, giving me a tour of the island, the hospitality, looking after me, make sure I was comfortable and okay.
We're not finished yet, Roy. I have still to see you back through the Stargate. And you're going to have to prepare yourself for that.
I hope I am fortified sufficiently.
You will be fortified.
I think the bro.
You will still have the absolutely.
But honestly, it means a hell of a lot. Over the course of the summer, I'm going to be going dark. If there's any other vPubs pop up otherwise that appear on a Thursday night, I'll share it with you all and let you know about it. Look out through the Aquavitae circle. I'm going to do everything to stay engaged as engaged as possible through that, and find new ways and layers of connecting with all of you, because of how much it means that this can be my job these days. We've spent a couple of days talking about that very thing. It's quite strange to speak about it, but I never, ever will tire of telling you how grateful I am. I'll never feel anything other than privileged.
Your ambition and your professional career find you in a mouldy, old, rotting, ancient Tholtan cottage in the middle of the countryside, in an obscure, occult-drenched environment, drinking fine whiskey and
bats and moths
and midges
yes.
and timid cats, and that's the way it goes.
Wonderful hospitality.
You could be earning megabucks in a call center. You could, and you chose this. What the hell are you playing at?
I didn't choose it. Sometimes I feel like it chose me.
It happens.
Ralphie, thank you for your hospitality,
Cheers
for your
now.
warmth, for your amazing drams, for your trust, for everything. And to all of you, I know that I need this break, but you know that I'm going to miss you very, very much over the course of the next few weeks. I'm going to raise this glass to say thank you to you, thank you to Ralphie, thank you to everybody. I'll see you all back here soon. I'll let you all know when that is, and until then, I'll raise a glass to remind you all that you're very dearly loved.
Cheers,
until
folks.
Then, Slancheva. Thank you.
Lovely to spend some time with you here in the Bothy.
Slancheva. Cheers.